Thanks, Johnny. Thousands of people every single day step off a plane in this city for one reason, to win big. Today, no different. The goal this afternoon is to cash in the winning chip in Victory Lane.
Sun's shining, all the fans just gotta go racing.
Hornaday actually has the lead. The guys are running real hard. They set a good fast pace. We talked about his dominance.
Burn it down, Ron. Burn it down.
Hornaday, the leader at the stripe. Ron Hornaday's the guy that I think can do it. Here he is again, right there, trying to win the race.
What a great finish for Ron Hornaday.
This is cool. They can still believe in the old man and give me an opportunity to do this.
He hit historic number 50 in our last race. Today he'll go for 51, 20 miles north of the strip since the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's Vegas, baby, and the setup presented by Polaris is on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the setup. I'm Krista Voda. In less than 2 months, this city will celebrate NASCAR's Sprint Cup champion. But today, this track will play a major role in deciding who wins the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series title. Now, Ray Dunlap is flying solo in the corral today because Hermie Sadler is back in Charlotte racing tonight. Good luck, Hermie. And Ray, who is feeling lucky today?
Well, Chris, I have to tell you, Ron Hornaday feeling very lucky here in Las Vegas. He had a very, very fast truck when we were in practice, and he got his 27th career pole. He's had a pole in every season that he's raced in the Camping World Truck Series. But when I think back about the career that Ron Hornaday's had, how about almost winning 3 championships in a row? He won it in 07 and 09, and in 08, Ryan Newman passed him on the last lap at Atlanta and took away 10 points. Hornaday lost the championship by 7 that year. An amazing amount of accomplishments for this man, and today he hopes to be a winner here in Vegas. Krista?
Hey, I wouldn't bet against him, Ray. And in this town, you actually play your favorites, bet on the odds, and put your faith in statistics. Stats have proven that Ron Hornaday is always a good bet. But in our last race 2 weeks ago in Kentucky, Ron Hornaday made sure the only number anyone was thinking of was number 50.
Coming into the tri-oval. Green flag in the air, we're underway.
Great start, Austin Dillon. They're going to get down to this corner. Ron Hornaday's right up against him. They want to run these things wide open through here.
Up the racetrack goes Hornaday in front of Austin Dillon. Dillon crosses back over to the bottom side of the racetrack, and he'll lead lap number 1. Green flag back in the air. Nelson Piquet Jr. leads the field to the green flag. Nelson Piquet has now led more laps tonight than he had led in his previous 24 starts. Hornaday way out in front now.
I believe I'd call Ron and say the heat's coming, buddy. PK and Austin Dillon look like have the 2 fastest trucks here tonight, along with Ron Hornaday, so they're going to go join him.
Race leader coming to pit road. Austin Dillon will relinquish the lead. Hornaday now your race leader as he crosses the stripe in front of him. What a big night it would be for Ron Hornaday if he is able to get to the front and win this race. It would be win number 50.
Sounds like Hornaday's coming this time. Do you think so, Phil? Sounded like Bruce Cook calling him to pit road.
Austin Dillon faster than Hornaday that time by. Closing the gap with just 8 laps to go.
It's going to be tight, Phil. But you know, Hornaday's racing toward victory tonight with a fast truck.
Austin Dillon closing the gap now. Almost to the back bumper and to the back bumper of Hornaday. Here's the battle for the lead. This will be his 3rd win in Kentucky if he holds on. Coming out of 4, Ron Hornaday wins career race number 50.
50, baby! That's 50! Woo! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good start, guys. You guys are awesome.
Going into that race, Hornaday was 22 points behind Timothy Peters in 4th. Now he's only 2 points behind him. Taking a look at our points, some other names to keep an eye on. Rookies Joey Coulter and Cole Witt. They both jump over Matt Crafton. But up front, it's all about the big 3. Sauter, Buscher, and Dillon, separated by just 19 points. Ray?
Well, how about these numbers? A win and 2 second-place finishes in the last 3 races. So how big is momentum as we try to close in on a championship, Austin?
Momentum's huge. Had our first cup start last week, had a blast. looking forward to Vegas. I love coming out here. First time out here we won, so I'm looking forward to today. It's going to be a great race. Can't wait to a lot of Bass Pro people are here, so I'm glad they're out here to watch and enjoy it. It'll be a great show.
How different will the setup be from nighttime to daytime racing?
Our springs are quite a bit different. You know, we're out here trying to find a little bit of speed because as the temperature gets hotter, we get tighter and we lose grip overall. So I feel like our truck was turning well in our final practice yesterday, so I'm looking forward.
Championship leader rolls off second here at Las Vegas.
It's going to be good. The only truck in front of him, Ron Hornaday. And in the hours following that historic 50th win, Hornaday received numerous phone calls and text messages from friends and fellow drivers. Now, days, even weeks later, those well wishes just keep coming in.
I feel privileged to have raced with him and got some wins with him myself. And, you know, for a guy that's over 50 to get his 50th win, I think that's pretty special.
That proves that he's one of the best ever in trucks. He's gonna be remembered that way.
Been pretty fun to watch. You know, certainly I remember watching back in you know, the 90s when it all first started.
It really solidifies the history behind him coming into the truck series and really making it one of his series. So it's really cool for Ron. I'm really proud of him, and I'm glad I got to race against him and run for his 50th win. Kind of run against himself is fun.
Ron Hornaday has, you know, raced that series for a long time. He understands it, understands those trucks, and Kevin is. Those guys have had good trucks, and it's pretty neat to see somebody get their 50th win.
Ron's been a big part of the truck series. Maybe one of the more important drivers that the series has ever had.
He's a cool guy. He was nice to me when I was, you know, 17 years old, hanging out at Schrader's shop, and he's still the same guy. So I'm happy for all his successes. He's a straight up good guy, and a guy that has always helped me when I asked him.
It don't matter what happens out on the track, you know, you can still hang out with him afterwards and talk about it and on to the next race. So he's a hard racer, and it's pretty cool to see him win.
He's been a dear friend. He and Lindy, as everyone knows. They've taken in so many people over the years, including myself, Kevin, a lot of different crew members, NASCAR officials, people that are NASCAR officials now. They're just very giving people, and very proud of Ron at his 50th win.
I spent a lot of time at Ron's on his couch and eating a lot of their food, and you know, Ron helped you know, get in the middle of the negotiations, I guess you could say, with myself and Richard to try to make some of that stuff happen. So it's definitely a big part of my whole life.
So to put into perspective what Hornaday has achieved, 295 races, 50 wins, that's an average of more than 6 wins a year. The only year he's competed and not won a race was 2004, but in his defense, he only raced one time that entire year. By now, you've probably figured out that we are not about to let Ron's 50th win slip by without the fanfare that we feel it deserves. Over the next half hour, you will hear Ron talk about win number 50 and which ones impress him the most. But as we go to break, we want to give a special thumbs up. What makes Hornaday's milestone of 50 even more impressive is that over the years, he has taken some pretty big crew chiefs with him to victory lane. 13 total, 13 different crew chiefs have engineered his 50 winning races. Our thumbs up to all of those gentlemen who have helped Ron Hornaday make it to victory lane 50 times over the years. We're just getting warmed up. Literally, as temperatures rise, that means this track is going to be really slick. What to expect? More of the setup here from Vegas still to come. The setup is presented by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles, now at your local dealer. Brought to you in part by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. And by Stable, fuel stabilizer. When you store, start with Stable.
The caliber of driver that Ron Hornaday is, a future Hall of Famer in my opinion, and to get 50 wins is just, you know, it's like nobody ever thought Babe Ruth's record would ever be broken, and it has, but I think it'll be a long, long time before anybody would even have a chance of breaking the record that Ron Hornaday set, and we'll still see some more wins out of him also.
Our series director, Wayne Otten, oversees everything that happens in the garage. We thank Wayne and his team for always helping that achievement. 50 wins, another jackpot for Ron Hornaday. Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where, as we said, things really are heating up. But when you win 50 races over a period of 14 years, how exactly do you remember them, and which ones impress even you?
Great start for Ron Hornaday. He's gone.
Hornaday really got a great start. Congratulations to the Earnhardt family. Watch it back at North Wilkes.
Tucson Raceway Park is what Dale recognized me at, because they've had it's called a winter heat. And that was the first race they've ever put on national TV and all that stuff. So I went down there. I ran 13 weeks that summer. And go back down there the second race and having all them fans just cheer is pretty cool. I think I was running like 17th with 3 to go.
Quick jump for Hornaday.
Coming down the outside. You can pass on the start like that on the outside.
I just got a heck of a jump on the outside. It shows it on a tape where I got one in the corner, and then down the back straightaway, I need to get 3 or 4 of them, and I go in the corner and yellow comes back out.
Well, there goes Bucky hard into the wall.
I come down to where Joe Ruttman and Jack Sprague go into turn 3, and Jack got in the back of Joe. I just turned the truck to the left.
Hornaday to the inside. Hornaday takes the checkered flag in New Hampshire.
Bobby Labonte. Where'd he come from? Here comes this 46 truck, and I said, who's driving that thing? And they said, Bobby Labonte. I said, no wonder he got me up on the outside.
Here comes Bobby Labonte on the high side. It's Bobby Labonte trying to get by Ron Hornaday as they go to 3 and 4.
That last corner, tires are wore out. I drove it down there and hooked the apron. Come up off the corner. Bobby did a side draft off the side of me. I come off the corner, and all I hear is the motor, just RPM go. It's like, oh, I'm going to lose this thing. And when the thing sat back down sideways, it beat Bobby Labonte by that far. Ricky Carmichael, he's won a lot of championships in motocross and all that stuff. And he come to me and he says, you got this race won. He said, 5's easy, 6 is the tough one.
Ron Hornaday will win 5 races in a row at the Camping World Truck Series. Guys, that's a big piece of history right there.
I ended up winning that thing. I'm looking for Ricky Carmichael and said, how do you know these things?
He's looking to add to his record-setting Camping World Truck Series career. Hornaday goes to victory lane again.
You know, everybody's got records out there, and they said it was a 14th race over 50 and beat Joe Ruttman, and it don't mean nothing. I mean, when you're behind that wheel, you still feel like you're 18 years old when you get to drive trucks like I've been driving.
And really, to put this in perspective, I mean, I know 50 may not sound like a lot when you compare it to Richard Petty's 200. Kyle Busch leads the Nationwide Series with 51 wins. But remember, the Truck Series has only been around for 16 years. Ron Hornaday with 50 wins in just 295 starts. And Ray is with someone else to keep an eye on today.
Well, Johnny Sauter and his Thor Sport team picked up the win here at Las Vegas in 2009. How much confidence did that give you that you could win today's race?
Well, I mean, obviously, anytime you can go to a racetrack where you've had success, it obviously makes you feel pretty good. So we finished second here last year. We won in 2009, and Safe Auto Carrier Riviera Chevrolet is pretty good. I mean, I feel the best about our truck this weekend than I have over the last month and a half. So, you know, obviously a little bit different complexion to the race today, racing in the daytime with the racetrack being hot and slick. But I think that typically bodes well for us as an organization at Thor Sport. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing. And if it's as good as it was yesterday, I think we got a shot at him.
Okay, Johnny Sauter with a good qualifying effort and 19 points out in the championship chase.
And he would be a great bet, a former winner at this track. You know, there are over 1,700 licensed gambling venues in this city. Upstairs, 3 gentlemen who I can only imagine have been helping support the Las Vegas economy this week. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, and Michael Waltrip. Gentlemen, your thoughts on the big 5-0 for Ron Hornaday?
We haven't been to all 1,700 here in Las Vegas, but we have been to a few. I tell you, the Kentucky race 2 weeks ago, Ron winning his 50th was extremely monumental. Where do you put that in history?
Well, you know, I think back, you know, we haven't had that much success in our sport for people over 50 years old, but we have had some, and what Ron has been able to do reminds me of a couple guys. Harry Gant is one who won 8 Cup races in his 50s, as well as 10 nationwide races. And Bobby Allison, who won the 1988 Daytona 500 at 50 years old. We don't have a great deal of success, but Ron Hornaday is a guy that has defied the odds. And Michael, he won 50 2 weeks ago. he might win 51 today.
That's right. You know, there's special talents. To do what Ron's doing at the age of 50 plus, that's special. It reminds me of Mark Martin. Remember when he showed up about 12 years old, it looked like, not even old enough to drive a car yet, and he goes out and win races, and now at the age of 50 plus, Ron's winning, and so is Mark Martin still doing the same. These guys have their work cut out for them on this track today to beat Ron Hornaday because it's slick, and he's bouncing around like he's a 21-year-old man. Talked to him back during the summer when they were struggling, and he just said, if I can win that 50th race, I might just quit. He don't say that now, though, Bubby. He's ready to race.
Yeah, and Ron Hornaday very excited to be in the 2 truck once again this week. Thought it was night and day between what the 33 and the 2 have been for him this season, and the 2 has been very successful up to this point. So he's looking for win number 4 on the 2011 season and that magical number 51 in the career mark. Krista?
All right, and I'm glad you guys have not been to all 1,700 gambling venues. Thank you. And yeah, Ron Hornaday just arriving to his truck. He's down there getting ready to jump into the number 2, the 3rd driver to win in that number 2 truck this year. Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer being the other 2. But he's not the only one to keep an eye on today. We have heard from some other serious contenders. Johnny Sauter won this race as a rookie 2 years ago. He has been very fast all weekend. And the defending winner of this race, also a rookie, winning it last year, winning it as a rookie, Austin Dillon. So the last 2 years, 2 rookies have won this race. We may need to talk about that a little more still to come. But Hornaday is on the pole. Could Vegas win number 1 be career win number 51 for Hornaday? Stick around to find out.
What's it going to take? We're about to find out. The green flag back in the air. Hornaday, Kyle Busch, 1 and 2. Through 3 and 4, it's looking good. Ron Hornaday will win his 35th NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race.
Ron Hornaday was right on the money.
Looking to make it 2 wins from this racetrack. Eric Darnell gives it all he's got. Can't catch it. Hornaday wins in Memphis.
Finally won this Memphis trophy. I wanted this guy so bad.
The setup is presented by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles, now at your local dealer. And brought to you in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com.
50th win was the most awesomest day to see Ron out there. He won it. It was no gas mileage. It was just a straight win. And it was a very proud moment. We were just talking the other day that Ron has 50 wins in the Truck Series, and we were trying to count up all his wins that he's had, and he's probably got over 500 wins total and everything else that he's done. So, but this 50th win was awesome, and it was an awesome night for Ron and I.
Ron's wife, Lindy Hornaday, has been there for all 50 of her husband's Camping World Truck Series wins. There you see Ron Hornaday at his pole-winning truck. Yes, Ron Hornaday on the pole today, but how about this for some drama? This is the only track where he has double-digit starts and has not won. So should he get number 51, it would also be Las Vegas win number 1. But for Hornaday, the most memorable win is always the next one.
We unloaded that truck, and I go out there, and I'm wide open, and just the thing just really turning good. Bruce says, "Dad, we're still not fast enough." I said, "What do you mean? It's wide open, and we're like 3rd or 4th on the board." He said, "Still not fast. Come back in there and switch the truck around." I went out there and it picked up like 7/10. I was like, where'd that come from? That 4-tire stop when Bruce says, "Come on down, get 4." And I was the only guy that came down. It's like, oh gosh, here we go. And another deal going in turn 3, like the C's part, and I got like 9 trucks, and it put me in track position. It's like, wow, I'm running these guys down, and I got around Busher. And they said, "You're running 2nd. Go get the tree truck." And I got up with them, within about 8-10 trucks of them. He come down pit road, and he puts us in the lead. Coming to the end of the race, see that old tree truck coming. I don't know if he put 4 tires on or what he did, but I was wide open, and he kept running me down. He was 1/10 and a half, 2/10 a lap, and he finally caught us. And I think the last 5 laps, I just ran his line.
Checkered flag in the air, the record 50th of his career. Hornaday is king of Kentucky.
How about that? Do you think after 49 previous ones, he's still pretty happy, isn't he? I bet you none of them feels any better than this one.
See how happy everybody was. It's pretty cool to see people in victory lane. Ricky Carmichael, Austin Dillon, and then Todd Bernard. I mean, there was a lot of people in victory lane, and getting out and holding that flag and says 50. It's like, wow, that's a pretty good accomplishment. That says a lot. That tells you that you drove for some amazing people. How much effort and how much time how much dedication they put in behind me. I got to thank them all. You know, you go to the media center, you do all your stuff, and you have fun with the media, and it don't really hit you until you're driving back, and your wife goes over there, and you're driving down the road, and she kisses you, and she goes, "Ron, you just won 50 wins. That's a pretty good accomplishment." I said, "Well, yeah, but we're not done yet." She goes, "50 wins is big, Ron." And it's like, in one series, that's pretty cool. You can't forget one. I mean, every one's so special to you because it's so tough to win in any kind of racing. And someday I'm going to win Daytona. I don't care if it's on a bicycle, but that's one I've got marked, and that's everybody's dream. Everybody as a kid wants to go to Daytona and win. So if I got to win on a bicycle, I'm going to win something down there. Satisfied? You're never satisfied. If you're satisfied, you shouldn't be in the sport. You got to be greedy. You got to want every race. You got to want every championship. And if you settle for what you got right now, you should quit racing. I'm not done winning.
No question about it. Win number 50, a big milestone for Ron Hornaday. There's been a lot of celebration, but there's still more winning to be done, right?
Yeah, it was done that night. We still got 5 races left in this Camping World Truck Series, so we'll see what we got. Hopefully I can get some guys in points.
Can you win the championship this year, Ron?
You don't know. I mean, we chased Skinner down that one year, and he had a pretty big deficit. You never know. They got to have bad luck, but the trucks that Kevin Delaney is giving me right now with champion filters on there. You always see champion spark plugs, but they got their new filter line, and you got to see it. It's awesome. But, yeah, we can do it. I mean, truck's good. Bruce Cook and all the guys are working hard on it, and it's a lot of fun to drive this truck.
Good-looking truck, no question about it. It's really fast.
And again, he's on the pole. Austin Dillon alongside our points leader. They make up row 1. You know, this could be a big race for rookies. We mentioned Dillon and Sauter are the last 2 winners here. Don't count out Joey Coulter. This will be his first race at this track, but he said he really likes it. Joey Coulter has a ton of momentum coming into this race. So does another rookie, Cole Witt. They are battling 1-2 in the Rookie of the Year standings. Cole Witt still looking for his first win. Also another driver with tons of momentum. We'll get you ready for pre-race festivities here at Vegas when we return.
Off the final turn, his 9th career victory. He will retake the point lead. There's the celebration from the Napa Chevy crew. Never, ever quit digging.
It'll be victory number 25. 1 out of every 4 times he's climbed behind the wheel. Ron Hornaday, as he has got a 2.5-second lead over Jack Sprague, is our travel coming across the line to win.
It's NASCAR nearly coast to coast this weekend. While we're here in Sin City, the Sprint Cup Series is getting ready to race in the shadow of the Queen City in just a few hours. In fact, as soon as our race is done, we will throw things back to John Roberts for another hour of race day, plus extended coverage following the race with Speed Center. And don't forget about the Monster Energy Cup Supercross, also here in Vegas later tonight. Will Ron Hornaday keep a poker face from the pole? Can Austin Dillon increase his point lead by going back-to-back at Vegas? Or will another driver, perhaps a first-timer, run the table by risking it all? You will see it all next. The setup is cashing in as the Smith's 350 starts right now.
Las Vegas, where big names are written in lights and no names can feel bigger than life. To win big, you either go big or go home. Most go home. The Truck Series Best will battle to take top billing as the season takes another step closer to its final performance. What happens in Vegas will transcend any commercial campaign as the season takes another step closer to its conclusion. What happens in Vegas will be remembered. Now is the time. Go big or go home.
In Las Vegas, everyone's very focused on odds, and in the Truck Series, the odds are always good for accelerated hard rates brought on by close racing. We expect nothing different in today's NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Smith's 350 here on Speed. Odd makers have tagged Austin Dillon as the race favorite for today, but momentum is definitely on the side of Ron Hornaday, our last race winner.
After reaching the 50-win milestone, Ron came to Las Vegas and parlayed that success into the pole win for today's race. Ron's odds of winning this race are 9-4, which won't bring gamblers a windfall of cash, but will catapult Ron Hornaday right back into the championship hunt for his 5th series title. The crowd gathering here. You're seeing the drivers getting ready for our pre-race ceremonies as they are congregating near the trucks, which are put on the apron. All eyes will be on Ron Hornaday. Can he win at Las Vegas? Well, in Vegas, it's all about pageantry and the show. And to start our show, we go trackside for today's invocation and national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your caps as our nation's colors are presented by the Nellis Air Force Base Honor Guard. Presenting today's invocation is Las Vegas Motor Speedway Chaplain Kurt Schulke.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day, for this event. Lord, please put your safety in the hands of the crews and their drivers and their families. And Lord, we also raise up the emergency and safety crews who give such dedicated and necessary duties when required. And Lord, our men and women in the military, they keep us safe, they keep us free. Lord, we ask to put your protective hand on them and keep them safe and bring them home. We ask this in the most heavenly name. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as an influential American singer, actress, and performer, and daughter of legendary icon Dean Martin, Miss Deana Martin, presents our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And the A-10s that are housed just off the backstretch at Las Vegas Motor Speedway do the flyover today. Getting ready for our under the very hot sun race in Las Vegas. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. By the 100% reinvented Ford Explorer. Drive one. By Just for Men Mustache and Beard. Keep your edge. And in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, just outside downtown Las Vegas, as we're getting ready for our 20th race of the 2011 season. And to get our storylines, let's go back trackside to someone who's working overtime, Chris Devoto.
Yes, and things are definitely literally heating up down here. Temperatures rising. We know what that means, but a lot of stories to keep an eye on in this race. Starting a biggest story, our championship picture. Just 5 races to go. Only 3 points separate our top 2 drivers, Austin Dillon and James Buescher. Austin Dillon will be on the front row today. His truck right behind me. Ron Hornaday, the only truck qualified better than him. Ron Hornaday on the pole. And in our last race, he celebrated career win number 50, but he has never won at this track. And I mentioned the hot temperatures. That means a very slick racetrack. Racing in the heat of the daytime. All the drivers talking about in practice how much they were sliding around. Everybody's, when you step off this plane in this city, you're here to win. That's what these guys will try to do today. We are getting ready to double down, so hit me, boys.
Well, Chris, we've talked a lot about Ron Hornaday and the success of getting his 50th win at Kentucky. He starts on the pole. What do the guys have to do to get by him here at Vegas?
They got to deal with a slick track, like Krista said. This place has no grip. These guys are sliding everywhere, Phil. So getting around these tight corners at high rates of speed, that's going to be tough today.
You know, I talked to Danny Stockman, the crew chief for Austin Dillon, down in the garage area this morning, and he said even though the racetrack is slick, the tires aren't giving up any. They're not really falling off speed-wise. So I said, well, would 2 tires be a possibility? He said, maybe no tires would be a possibility. So I think the slick racetrack and the really good Goodyear tires may parlay into some pit strategy.
Yeah, we have a lot of strategy that's going to play in because the tire, it's a new compound here, and we're racing under the heat of the sun as opposed to at night where we have normally raced here. Let's get the engines fired. We'll go for the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Troy Datcher, Director of Sales and Sports Marketing for Clorox Companies, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Crank it up. Okay, Austin, go ahead and fire it up here, bud.
Another great command. The engines will come up to life now as everyone firing them up. We're getting ready for, it's the 21st race of the 2011 season. Who will win today? Welcome back to Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah, it's desert-like conditions here. 86 degrees and not a hint of a cloud anywhere around. Just a breath of a wind, 4 miles per hour, south-southeast. Forecasted high for today, 92 degrees. I want to take a look at our Camping World track description and race analysis.
What a great racetrack here, Michael. They reconfigured this racetrack in 2006. Put some bank in these corners, really made some fast racing.
Yeah, could you imagine hauling off in a pickup truck down in the corner at about 180 miles an hour? And Phil, this place is slick and there's not a whole lot of banks to hold these guys. So that's why I talked about crashes earlier. You get down in the center of the corner with no banking, you might rub into the guy next to you.
As you can see, our pit window somewhere between 52 and 58 laps for these trucks.
Trucks making their way around the racetrack. We want to shine a spotlight on a few different drivers. We'll begin with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, yesterday here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the odds on Jason White getting his first ever career win were much better than they are today. Why? Well, because they had a truck that he really loved, and they said what they did was a bit of a science experiment, going for a shot at the pole, and he crashed that truck and had heavy damage to the rear end and had to go to a backup today. But the Gunbroker team is still confident that they can have a good run today. Whether or not they got a shot at a win is still yet to be determined. Phil?
Ray, I'd like to shine a spotlight on 18-year-old Stockbridge, Georgia driver Max Gresham. Max started in legend cars before progressing into late models. He moved full-time to the K&N E-Series in 2010 with Joe Gibbs Racing, winning twice. He returned to the series this year, motivated to win the championship, and what a season he had. He won 2 times, finished in the top 10 in all but 1 race. That's him in the 18 car. He completed all 1,705 laps in the process, and there he's getting the championship trophy from NASCAR President Mike Helton. He makes his Truck Series debut here in the first of 3 scheduled starts in 2011. He will have to start from the rear, though, due to an engine change in his Rheem World Crawl 300 Chevy. Mikey?
Phil, let's shine our spotlight on 26-year-old Cale Gale from Mobile, Alabama. Cale's making only his 3rd start of the 2011 season. The talk in the garage area is Cale Gale running full-time in 2012 in a Rheem Chevy for Eddie Shark Motorsports. Cale's won a NASCAR Nationwide Series pole at Bristol back in 07. Heck, he's won late model championships and races. He's even been a winning crew chief and tire specialist. But what he wants to be next is a winning NASCAR trucker. Hill rose off 17th in pursuit of just that here today in Vegas.
Michael, I want to shine a spotlight on David Mayhew. The 29-year-old out of Tuscadero, California, will start 20th in this race. He made his Truck Series debut in this very race last season. But again, that one was under the lights, this one under the heat of the sun. He's run 5 truck races. This will be his 5th truck race in 2011. And again, last year finished 2nd in the 2010 West Series final standing. So he has a lot of success out here on the West Coast. We're riding along with a few different drivers. One of those will be the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. He's got a Toyota Camry on board that will take us from 21st to wherever he'll be able to get up toward the front of this field.
We're also going to ride along with Johnny Sauter in his Thor Sport Racing Chevy. Johnny won this race 2 years ago, and he starts from the 4th spot.
Let's hop inside Austin Dillon's truck. He's got the Funai onboard camera. Chances are, when we're looking out the front of this truck, we might not see much out there.
Even Ron Hornaday?
Maybe not even Ron Hornaday. This truck's fast, Rick.
You guys have talked about a lot of different things that we've got to look for today. We want to find out what our Walmart recipe for success is. And for that, we go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, the recipe for success in my end of the pit road is to have the right driver. You know, when we talk about Camping World Truck Series races, when we've been on a mile and a half, you've wanted one of 3 guys to be behind the wheel, either Kyle Busch, Todd Bodine, or Ron Hornaday. But when we look at the last 5 races in this series on mile and a half, guess what? Hornaday has been the man with 3 victories. Today he's got a very, very strong car, or truck, excuse me. He's on the pole, and I think Hornaday is the guy to beat.
And Hornaday obviously has a racetrack in front of him that he's never won on. So that would be another notch in his belt if he could get a victory here. But he's got some young guys that really are hungry to win a championship that he's going to be racing with on this racetrack.
Isn't it just an entertaining theme this year? We've got the young guys. We've talked about them all year long, and they've been right at the front of the point standings. Year starts winding down. The old guy, Ron, he wins at Kentucky. He comes in here and sets on the pole. He said, I'm tired of hearing about all these young guys. I'm going to put them away.
You know, Michael, you talked about Ron Hornaday during the summer really feeling a little bit down. Well, he's had the worst season of anyone I know that could win 3 races. Now, that doesn't happen that often.
Talking about championship contenders, how about a guy like James Buescher, who has never won? We have had Rookie of the Year contenders win here at this racetrack the past 2 years, one of those being Johnny Sauter, the other being Austin Dillon.
Hey, we ran out of room. Ron Hornaday should be right side of that Timothy Peters. He's only 42 points back.
And, you know, he might be less than that after this race, judging on the way he felt talking to him before this race. What a bump in his step. I loved his enthusiasm. He is very confident driving this 2-truck, Rick.
And it's hard to call a guy rejuvenated, but at the same time, Ron Hornaday seems to be rejuvenated here toward the end of the season.
Race car drivers are fickle. You give them a bad truck a couple weeks in a row, they think the world's going to end. You give them something like he drove at Kentucky, you're going to rule the world.
And Ron Hornaday is driving the 2 once again. That's because they are running for the Owners' Championship, and they wanted their best bet to be in that 2 truck, and that's why Ron Hornaday's in the 2, Cale Gale in the 33 for today's race.
And they have a 41-point lead over that 18 truck that Brian Eichler's driving today.
Race within the race. And again, Ron Hornaday, coming off his 50th career win, wins the pole for this race, will bring the field to the green flag. Coming through the triangle. Green flag in the air. We're underway in Vegas.
Pretty even start. Austin's fighting back on the inside here.
Look at Johnny Sauter shoved right up on the back of Hornaday, trying to give him a little bit of drafting help down into turn 1. Going down in turn 1 for the first time, man. Got to be a little bit nerve-wracking. Side by side, you haven't been packed together like this since you got to Vegas, and now it's on.
Talked to Johnny Sauter in practice yesterday. He said he never backed off the entire time during practice, but he didn't have a whole bunch of trucks around him either.
How about Matt Crafton? He didn't back off, going through 3 and 4, went to the bottom of the racetrack, was able to pass Parker Kligerman, has moved into the top 5.
Look at Hornaday. He's able to edge ahead of Austin Dillon using the high side. Johnny Sauter saw Hornaday make it work. Now he's looking to the outside of Dillon. Oh, look at how sideways Dillon got.
Dillon sideways on the bottom of the racetrack. We're seeing Hornaday run a little higher line. Johnny Sauter following behind him. James Buescher running 3rd. Dillon 4th for now, but here comes Crafton. Look at him challenge for that spot.
That truck jumping sideways broke his momentum just enough to allow him to lose that spot to Buescher. Oh, look, he's sideways.
Completely sideways into the fence, and now into the wall goes the 3 of Austin Dillon. That will bring out our first caution.
Guys, that's our point leader.
We talked about before the race.
Get a flat tire.
He was so loose through 1 and 2. We made comments about that.
Well, we also we talked about before the race, crashes could affect this championship battle. This is our point leader, like you said, Phil. That truck's going to have some serious repairs to the right front.
Yeah, look at all the damage to that right front, as well as a little bit of damage to the right rear corner. Looks like the spoiler's intact, but a lot of damage to that 3 truck. Looks like it may be trailing some fluid. Is that what I see behind that truck?
Potential fluid, and behind the wall will go our point leader, Austin Dillon. Take another look.
Here he is coming off turn 4. He's going to get a little bit sideways right here. Almost saves it. Just kisses that outside wall. Parker Kligerman does an incredible job to avoid him.
He was down in turn 1 and 2, had the same thing happen. Got sideways, and this time it got all the way away from him. Heard Austin say that possibly he had a tire going down because he was that loose. That wouldn't be too hard to believe, because we've never seen, we haven't seen Austin make very many mistakes at all in his young career, leading the points. Possibly he had a tire flat.
Another look. Again, that's coming out of turn 4.
What about Parker Kligerman? He's
incredible job.
The world's ending right in front of me. He actually made some contact with the outside wall. Let's go inside of Austin's truck and listen to the gas.
You could hear him back off the throttle just as that back end kicked out a little bit. Thought he had it saved there for a moment. Then the second time, it went on around.
We talked about coming into this race, there would have to be problems for the guys in front of, say, Timothy Peters or Ron Hornaday if they wanted to get their names back into this championship hunt. And as early as lap number 2, our points leader gets into the wall. So the crew going to work.
They decided right there, Rick, this thing ain't that bad. Get back out there, Austin. Maybe we can make repairs quicker than we thought.
We'll be back. Green flag coming back out here in Vegas. Welcome back to the Smith's 350 from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Coming into this race, Austin Dillon had a 3-point lead over James Buescher. That has all changed on lap number 2. Dillon gets into the wall coming out of turn number 4.
You can see him get sideways right here. And watch also Parker Kligerman, boom, into the outside wall. 2 of our point leaders contact on lap 2.
Here's another view. Listen to the engine. The second that thing back in kicked around a little bit, he was off the throttle trying to save that truck. Unfortunately, not able to.
He was working that throttle too, wasn't he, Phil? Just trying to get a little gas to it to straighten it out, but couldn't do it.
A lot of work going on in that truck, Ray.
And Rick, here's the situation. Whenever he made the contact with the wall, as crew chief Danny Stockman said, I think it's hurt pretty bad. We need to go behind the wall. They did that, then made a decision it might not be that bad. They've put a brace on the front. We'll see what Austin's report is. That nose is pretty sideways. I don't think it's going to handle too well.
Trying to get up to speed, coming off of 3 and 4 is Austin Dillon. Green flag back in the air. Johnny Sauter on the inside. Hornaday on the outside. Racing into turn number 1.
Well, Hornaday pulled right over next to Johnny Sauter to try to side draft to kill his momentum a little bit. Hornaday has some help on the high side from Johnny's teammate, Matt Crafton.
And that help's going to push him out in front. That's the sight, isn't it, Phil? You could run 5 trucks down the straightaway without making any contact. 2 of them couldn't even get it done. Rubbing all over each other early going. Look at Crafton down to the bottom.
Johnny Sauter, after starting on the inside of the front row, or restarting on the inside, now has dropped back to the 4th spot as his teammates moved up into the 2nd position. So it's Hornaday and Crafton 1 and 2, then James Buescher running 3rd. 4th, Johnny Sauter. Battle for 5th behind him.
Yeah, great battle. The 18 of Brian Eichler on the outside. Nelson Piquet Jr., the 8 on the inside. Todd Bodine is going to stick his nose in that battle as well in the 5 truck.
Oh, Todd's feeling racy here early in the going. He's got a good truck.
Todd Bodine on the high side, so good on 1.5-mile racetracks, but yet to find victory lane in 2011 after his championship season a year ago.
Wow. Well, Johnny Sauter barely cleared James Buescher there.
Yeah, I don't think he did. He did because James led him. If James had left his foot in it, those trucks would have crashed. There'd be 2 more points contenders here early in the going with issues.
Really strong point implications by Austin Dillon's trouble. He obviously still on the racetrack right now, being shown 3 laps down.
Austin Dillon being shown in the 33rd position, 3 laps down. He'll move up spots, though, as Jones is off of the racetrack. We're hearing that NASCAR is checking for smoke
from Austin Dillon's truck. And, you know, we heard Ray say, will the thing be competitive? It's not, Ray. He's a couple of seconds off the pace, and now he's bringing it to pit road. So it's going to be a long day for that 3 team.
Very discouraging start to this race in Las Vegas and his run for a championship in the final 5 races. James Buescher battling for position with Brian Eichler on the inside in that number 18 truck.
Look at Eichler. Makes that thing cut to the bottom of the racetrack. Going to come up in front of Buscher and get the pass made. Maybe grab a little drafting help from Tom Bodine now.
You know, it's amazing, Michael, when you see all these trucks running together. They don't typically run that close together in practice, but right now, these trucks are dancing all over the racetrack. Ray, what's going on with that 3?
Well, Phil, the splitter brace right in the center of the very front of this truck is broken, and that is allowing the splitter to drag in the middle on the racetrack. Austin said he can really feel it, and they have to work on that right front fender to try to make sure there's no more smoke. But Austin said the steering components of the truck are fine, so he feels like they can continue on, but they got to get that splitter up off the racetrack.
A little smoke coming out of the 5 there of Todd Bodine as he came out of turn number 4. It seems like early on in this race, and Michael, you touched on it before the start, a slick racetrack is really giving a lot of these drivers difficulties.
Yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat, Rick. These guys are racing really hard, fierce here early in the going. Look at Todd Bodine making a run around the top.
Caution down for debris.
Eichler has some smoke coming out of the right front of that number 18, so maybe some contact there. He was racing really hard with James Buscher just moments ago.
We also got a report that Johnny Sauter may have rubbed the wall coming off for turn number 4. So we'll have to check out the right side of his truck.
So debris has brought out the second caution here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, but you see the smoke coming out from underneath the right front tire of the 18. Looks like a lot of tire rub there.
Yeah, he got into the outside wall. It's a heck of a day at sea, isn't it? I mean, I can't believe everything that went down just in the first 5 or 6 laps.
Completed lap 12 of the 146 scheduled for this one, and already our points leader Austin Dillon got into the wall in lap number 2, brought out the first caution. Now debris on the racetrack brings out the second, but a lot of title contenders having problems, including the 13 of Johnny Sauter. There's the damage that's continuing to build on that 3. It looks as though the tire must have torn up that right front fender.
Yeah, at some point, it looks like that tire right now is up, but at some point he had some damage. That may be some of that X-Flex tape holding that right front fender on.
So a difficult beginning to the final 5 races for Austin Dillon. Looking like the championship contender that he wanted to look like. But early in this one, problems have relegated him already back 5 laps on the field. Stay with us. More from Las Vegas after this. Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Out in front of the field, it's Ron Hornaday looking to make it 51 career wins, but there are 133 laps before we find out who will go to victory lane.
Here's a 13 truck of Johnny Sauter. We had reports that he may have brushed the wall. Let's see if we can take a look back and see if we can find that damage. You see a little bit of damage on that right rear corner. This is Johnny's onboard right here, coming off turn number 4. Oh, just ever so slightly. I don't think that will affect the truck at all.
And that's what these guys have been dealing with, all these trucks, ever since the race started. Ray, it looked like he barely hit the outside wall. They say anything down there in the pit about it?
Yeah, Mikey, he just grazed it a little bit, but Johnny on the radio saying his truck will not go through the bumps in 1 and 2 very well. It wants to jump sideways, and coming off the corner about a number 8 on a 1 to 10 scale of loose. So Joe Shearer's crew chief said, let's pit this time and work on it. And Johnny said, we can't give up this kind of track position. I'll deal with it. Krista?
The boys at Kyle Busch Motorsports working hard on the 18 truck of Brian Eichler. He came in, they worked a lot on the right front. He talked about a tire rub. They said the splitter has been dragging, so they were over there pulling out the fenders, trying to get that splitter up off the racetrack. Brian Eichler has been racing hard. He started 8th. He was racing really hard with Nelson Piquet for position in those early laps.
Krista, thanks for sticking around. A little overtime with us here in the Truck Series. The 3 of Austin Dillon gets the Aaron's lucky dog. So he'll get 1 of the 6 laps that he's down back. So now he'll be 5 laps down.
Yeah, you know these guys aren't going to quit. They're going to be here till the bitter end here. Try to catch a few more lucky dogs. Try to get every spot they can.
Great battle building now in the Camping World Truck Series, at least in the front row. Ron Hornaday on the outside, Crafton on the inside. He's had great restarts. Let's see how he does this time. Green flag back in the air.
Look at Johnny Sauter. He said he liked his track position. He's going to try to grab a little bit more of it. Makes it 3 wide into 1.
Might take the lead away from Hornaday. Going into 1. Side by side with Hornaday as they go through 1 and 2.
Hornaday has a little help behind him. Top 09, that 5 truck.
How do you feel about your teammate taking you 3 wide down into the turn 1 on a restart, Phil?
Look at Crafton still in the middle here.
Into turn 3. It's Hornaday moving out front.
I guarantee you Crafton likes it a lot less now than he did earlier because, shoot, he's all the way back outside the top 10 about.
So Hornaday up front. There you see Crafton drop back a long ways after restarting on the inside of the front row. Tuck tucked in behind that 19 of David Mayhew.
That's going to move to the outside, not able to do anything with Mayhew that time. He has a little help behind him. That's Brendan Gaughan. Normally we see him in the South Point Toyota. New colors on board that 62 truck for this race. Look at cracking sideways.
That's it, brother. That's it. Clear.
That's Big O Tires. Brendan Gaughan, you're hearing Billy, his spotter, talking to him as we saw Crafton sideways through 3 and 4.
Life was good for Matt Crafton before this last caution. It's getting difficult. He's running really hard, Phil, trying to make up those spots, and the thing just didn't stick for him down in turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, now he's in a lot dirtier air than he was early. He just had a truck, in front of him. Now he's got all sorts of trucks in front and behind him.
3 wide going into turn number 3. Nelson Piquet Jr. on the bottom. Point leader right now, James Busher right in the middle. And it looks like the fuel doctor number 60 of Cole Witt making the move on the outside now.
Yeah, Cole likes it up top. He gets a chance, he'll shoot it to the top. He took that chance and passed those guys.
There's David Mayhew on the outside of Brendan Gaughan. David Mayhew's got a couple third-place finishes this year, driving that same 2 truck that Ron Hornaday is driving here.
Little angle there by Brendan.
He's laying on Mayhew.
Saw a little bit of that X-Flex tape on the right front fender of Brendan Gaughan's truck early in this race. We're seeing a lot of that early on.
Yeah, Brendan came down pit road on that very first caution flag for Austin Dillon's accident to make those repairs.
Riding along with the Las Vegas native as he continues to try to battle into this top 5, running 6th right now.
Well, his dad spoke about the booth earlier and welcomed us to town. I like Michael Gaughan. It was nice of him to say hello.
Such a big part of the series and such a big part of racing out here.
Oh, definitely. Huge supporter. Had pretty much all the officials and a lot of the race teams staying at his hotel out at the South Point.
Got a great restaurant called Michael's, which I don't have anything to do with.
Your namesake. Out in front of the field, Hornaday continuing to set a blistering pace. Johnny Sauter runs second, 0.6 of a second back, and then the battle for positions continue behind.
You know, you mentioned earlier, Todd Bodine has never gone through a season without a victory.
Nelson Piquet Jr. had to catch that one. Almost went all the way around with Joey Coulter on his outside.
It's amazing. We didn't see a whole lot of trouble yesterday during practice. It was warm, but these guys running together, the dirty air really affects these trucks.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of action for sure. And when we talked about accidents before the race even started, maybe
problems for Pappas. Pappas goes into the wall.
Right front straightaway. Caution's out.
Max Pappas, a lot of damage to the front end of that race truck.
Looks a whole lot like Austin Dillon's truck did after he went for a spin off turn 4.
Max Pappas running into 19th position. Everyone running hard around this racetrack, and now Max Pappas bringing out the 3rd caution.
Watch coming off turn 4. You see the 66 of Max Gresham to the outside. Is Max going to squeeze up? Oh, Gresham gets a little bit sideways and then comes down into Max.
Yeah, there was
Max maybe looked like he was coming up as well.
A couple of contributing factors there. One guy,
huge damage to the 66 of Gresham.
Looked like Max was sideways and had to come down the hill a little bit, and Max moved up more than he probably should have, and together it didn't work out.
Max and Max had problems there, obviously, not knowing each one was where they were.
Max squared.
That's right. We had Max squared, and we definitely had a problem with both of those trucks trying to take up the same real estate. So Gresham brings the 66 onto pit road to his crew's attention as they're working on that race truck.
Trying to look at the splitter and see what kind of damage they have there. This isn't catastrophic like we've seen for Dillon and some of those other guys. He's pretty significant though, Phil.
Yeah, you see the damage to the left front. They're going to go ahead and change that left front tire, it looks like. They need to pull the fender out.
Yeah, the front end looks caved in as well. Looks like there was some other contact there that bowed that front end in. So aerodynamics very important at this racetrack, and we're seeing that especially from Austin Dillon, who had problems early on. They haven't been able to do the kind of work they wanted to do to that racetrack, and we're seeing race leader Ron Hornaday bring the field onto pit road. Krista.
Todd Bodine running extremely well right now. Talking about the handling issues he's facing are center and off, getting a little tight. They talked about maybe just going fuel only, but tires up on the wall and the wrench to make that chassis adjustment to free him up just a little bit. There you see Todd come in. There the crew goes to work. Yep, the wrench going in. It's going to be a 4-tire change, and fuel is the plan for Todd Bodine in the 5.
Bottom of your screen, Krista, you see Timothy Peters. He said his truck is wicked loose coming off. They'll go right side tires only. Johnny Sauter rolls out of his pits with right side and a big drop on the track bar. Sauter will go out, looks like about 6th or 7th. and he said that his truck was wicked loose also.
And you saw Max Gresham in the 66 stalling the truck right at the exit of pit road, kind of bunching everyone up as they were trying to get off of pit road. Again, the Aaron's lucky dog is going to be Austin Dillon, which that might be a common theme here for a while. Him being, well, the only truck that was a lap down before Max Pappas bringing out this most recent caution. Pappas in the 9, Max Gresham in the 66, contact, caution. After the truck race, NASCAR race day rolls on from Charlotte. Jimmy Johnson will discuss his drive for a 6th championship, and we'll take a look at Carl Edwards' recent luck in the chase. Don't miss NASCAR race day, built by the Home Depot from Charlotte. That's just after the truck race, live on Speed. They've already had an hour.
Yeah, it's going to be part 2.
Keep going.
Part 2. And the part 2 of the chase has a JJ look to it, doesn't it? What about old Jimmy Johnson? No one's dominated a cup race in the chase and got to victory lane until Jimmy Johnson did it last week.
Did we count him out after the first race of the chase?
I think we did.
Yeah.
And I'm quite frankly not proud of myself for that because he's won the last 5 of them. I think we should have given him at least a couple races before he said he was done.
One guy that you never count out of camping knowledge is Ray Dunlap. Let's get a look at our recreation destination with Ray Dunlap.
It's Camping World's Destination Recreation.
You know, when the race fans come to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, they are always charged up. And if you want to stay charged up with your RV, your boat, your ATV, or a golf cart, then you need Exide batteries, and we've got them for you right here at Camping World. Exide Batteries is the official battery of NASCAR and the official battery supplier of Camping World. Now, these batteries are great because they offer you an extended free replacement warranty. Start positive and stay positive. Make sure you choose Exide.
A lot of campers along the backstretch, which is Nellis Straightaway here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Out in front of the field, David Starr, and that 81 will bring us back to the green flag when we return to Vegas. Big shows continuing here in Vegas. It's Supercross. It is the Monster Energy Cup from right here in Las Vegas. Ricky Carmichael will actually be calling that right here on Speed.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be down there with him, watching, hanging out with Travis Pastrana.
Yeah, we're gonna follow Ricky, and we're gonna have a feature next week at our Talladega truck race.
Maybe y'all could interview me while I'm there.
Yeah, we might do that.
Riding along with Ricky Carmichael and his Monster Energy Cup on board.
The GOAT. The GOAT.
The GOAT has lined up for in the 4th spot here. Got a couple of trucks that have stayed out. You can see Ricky finished 6th in our last run at Kentucky. He's got some speed in that truck this year, Phil. Pole down at Atlanta, really fast.
Has been very good and successful on 1.5 mile racetracks. We'll see how he does now, running in the 4th spot, what he's got for race leader David Starr. So it's David Starr, Ryan Sieg on the front row, Justin Lofton, Ricky Carmichael making up row number 2, Sauter and Hornaday back in row 3.
This is going to be a crazy start, y'all. Watch these guys when they get down toward turn 1. There's going to be 3 wide, I guarantee you.
Will Ron Hornaday be leading this race when they come back around, Michael?
Look at the inside.
Darn it, they're
Justin
4 wide.
Lofton 4 wide makes it. Ricky Carmichael shoots to the front before they get to turn 1.
I forgot about the 4 wide part.
Hornaday running right on the back bumper of the 13 of Johnny Sauter. Sauter now behind the 4 of Ricky Carmichael. They run 1 and 2. David Starr shuffled back to 4th.
No tires at the pit.
Look at Hornaday.
Carmichael.
Hornaday goes to the outside. He makes it 3 wide coming out of 4. He'll take the lead.
What did I ask you, Michael?
That if Hornaday would lead.
Oh, and around goes the 4 of Ricky Carmichael. He's going to slide back up into the field. Catches Cale Gale. Brian Eichler in mix.
Miguel Paludo, the 7, is in the middle of that with a lot of damage.
Man, those guys just had a terrible front straightaway. Hornaday went tired. There was plenty of room for Carmichael to run the middle of the road. He got down there with Johnny Sauter, laying on Sauter, and by the time they got to turn 1, excuse me, this was the result.
That's Miguel Paludo in the 7. You can't see him because of the hood accordioned up in front of him. What a disappointing run this has to be for Ricky Carmichael after taking the lead on the restart. getting passed by Hornaday coming into turn number one, and then sideways he goes into one.
Look at all the damage to the rear of that monster Chevrolet.
Well, that truck there, the 18 of Brian Eichler, he was all the way up to the transmission underneath that truck.
Remember, we talk about points. This is the truck that's in the battle for the owner point championship with that 2 truck driven this week by Hornaday again.
Looked like maybe Eichler made a little contact with the outside wall early in the going, had to make a couple of unscheduled pit stops, wound up back in the pack and in a crash.
Again, this all took place coming into turn number 1. They're 3 wide there for second, and there was the contact.
Looked like Johnny Sauter came up a little bit. Ricky Carmichael was halfway in the middle of that 3 wide battle. Wow. Look at the damage there when Brian Eichler makes contact with Ricky, and Miguel Paludo also with nowhere to go. He was right behind Eichler.
Did you see how far that 18 truck went up under?
Just about to the windshield.
Yes, sir.
Of the 18 truck.
You can see there, Johnny Sauter angled him, made himself an angle for the turn, and Ricky Carmichael happened to be up above him, making contact and sending Ricky at about 175 miles an hour, spinning down toward turn 1 and all that oncoming traffic. Look at the front of that truck, totally devastated.
The 39 of Ryan Sieg looked like he got run into from behind. He also spun around. There's the initial contact between the 13 and the 4. Now Ricky is along for the ride, trying to hold the brakes to keep that truck down on the bottom of the racetrack. No way he could do it.
You know, Phil, the other view that we had from behind looked as though it was David Starr that was on the outside of the 4, and they made contact. Well, we saw the 13 coming up, and that's what Ricky Carmichael looked like he was trying to avoid.
There wasn't any room for Ricky Carmichael right there. As the problem, Johnny Sauter looked like he came up, as Michael said, to get a good angle into the corner, and there wasn't any room for Ricky.
The whole front straightaway, it wasn't sanitary. They were making different lines and different angles. Maybe Johnny Sauter thought he should have some more room off Ricky.
Let's ride along with the Monster Energy truck of Ricky Carmichael. There's Starr going by on the outside, and there's the contact.
Here comes the contact.
Oh,
again. Wow. So a big hit on the 4 truck.
It turned our lights off. It hit so hard.
It knocked the lights out. This is what Brendan Gaughan saw. We'll ride along with the 62 Big O Tires truck.
Brendan's on the inside of Nelson Piquet. No, that's actually the 32 of Blake Feast.
Listen to Brendan.
He grabbed the gear. He grabbed the gear.
And then he grabbed the gas and said, I got to get out of here. This is serious.
Great heads-up move by Brendan.
Watch this battle. See how they are there. Ricky down low. He and Johnny making some contact, and then that gives David Starr the ability to make that huge run to the outside. And when they got to turn 1, it just tightened up on Ricky.
See, I don't think Johnny Sauter ever had any idea that Ricky was going to have a truck on the outside of him, David Starr, because David got that good run when they were side by side. They were punching such a big hole in the air. At the last second, David Starr was able to get that momentum and get to the outside. I don't think Johnny had a clue that it was too wide above him.
NASCAR's decided to throw out the red flag, so the field has been stopped in turn number 1 here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Championship picture completely changing today. Austin Dillon coming in, your points leader. Problems early in this one. Monday night on the Hub, we'll break down all the weekend's action from the chase battle in Charlotte to the truck excitement you're watching right now from Las Vegas. We've got you covered. Plus, catch up on the latest news in the world of NASCAR. NASCAR Race Hub, Monday, 6 Eastern, only on Speed. Under a red flag condition, and the reason being trucks into the wall in turn number 1, one of those being the 4. Let's look back.
Watch now, there's Ricky in the middle. Johnny Sauter, I don't think, has any idea that David Starr, the 81, had pulled up to the outside of Ricky. He thought they were going to be too wide getting in that corner.
Yeah, and there just wasn't anywhere for Carmichael to go at that point. You know, he was wide open. That's the fastest part of this racetrack. We're talking 175, 80 miles an hour right there when that contact occurred, sending Ricky going crazy sliding down toward turn 1.
Gus, we saw a little bit of the damage to the 13 of Johnny Sauter. The 18 of Brian Eichler.
A lot of damage.
A lot of damage to that truck, and Brian has been checked and released from the infield care center.
You can see just right there, Johnny comes up a little bit. It leaves no escape for Carmichael.
What an amazing ride it is for Ricky Carmichael, getting hit that second time when he slides way back up the racetrack. Let's ride along with him and experience this.
And watch Watch Cale Gale when they start crashing down here, the job he does.
You heard the contact right there that turned Ricky around.
Watch Cale Gale come flying by right there.
Got all the way up to the outside wall and just barely made it by before Ricky got there.
Knocked the lights out of the number 4 Monster Energy Cup Chevy Silverado. So they continue to work on that truck, and it's going to be a long road to hoe for Ricky Carmichael. We'll be back with more from here in Las Vegas. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. And in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. We've switched to yellow flag conditions. The trucks will begin to roll once again around this 1.5 mile racetrack.
And those drivers are glad of that, too. It's hot up there setting steel, so getting rolling, get a little air circulating.
Bass Pro Shops Tracker Boats number 3, that Chevy Silverado beat up extensively. The reason being lap number 2 for Austin Dillon. Not a very good lap. Coming out of turn 4, he has problems. Take a look.
Yeah, he was really loose down to the other end of the racetrack. He gets completely sideways, just kisses the outside wall with the right rear corner and loses control.
Ever since then, he's been on and off pit road making repairs, getting Aaron's lucky dogs about every caution. He's been able to pretty much stay 5 laps down, although they've done a lot of work to that truck. But you know, Phil, that crash that just happened, that was a break for Austin Dillon and that team. Those are some points that he wasn't going to get. But now with the accident that occurred, he'll gain some spots in the running order.
I think he has a chance now, even being a few laps down, of possibly finishing in the top 20 in this race because of all the carnage we've had.
And this will really tell the tale if this is a championship team for Austin Dillon. When they have to deal with diversity. Austin Dillon, early on in this race, he's down 5 laps to the rest of the field. So a difficult situation for this team. Can they rebound? Next Saturday, the world's toughest truckers take on Talladega, where championship hopes can be turned upside down in the blink of an eye. You don't want to miss NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Talladega next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern exclusively on Speed. We thought championship hopes could be turned upside down there. What about here?
Wow. What an incredible finish we had last year, though, at Talladega, when Kyle Busch slits sideways across the start-finish line, passing Eric Almirola.
It's a good gift from Max Gresham. He'll get the Aaron's lucky dog in his first ever start in the Camping World Truck Series. Ray, the 13 came to pit road. What were they doing?
Well, they had a good bit of damage there on that right rear corner. You see, they tried to get that all straightened out, put some bear bond on him. But mark it down, guys. Lap 32 right here. Sauter getting that truck completely full of gas. The last time our regulars were on down pit road was lap 23. So that could play into this race here a little bit later.
Yeah, Ray, that's a good point. With 113 laps to go, you could possibly cut this thing in half. You see him, that's the old-fashioned way. Use your foot to get that rear bumper bar.
And we were listening into the radio under the break, and we heard Johnny Sauter say, now, you guys aren't doing more damage to that truck than there's already done, right?
Yeah, I wondered why he said that, and then
He's got such a good view of it.
He can't see, but he could feel it. They were kicking the heck out of that thing, and he's like, what are y'all doing back there?
So there was some damage to the 13. Again, that was the contact that was made between he and the 4 of Ricky Carmichael that brought out the most recent caution and red flag condition.
We heard down throughout the garage area that 13 truck of Johnny Sauter was one of the best yesterday, and he certainly showed early in the going that he's got a truck he can win with. Getting a little bit of damage repaired, getting some gas, I think that's a good move by the team. You want to make sure you assess what's wrong with your truck early in the going so you can have everything squared away for the end.
The top 25 currently on the lead lap. The only one not on the lead lap currently is Austin Dillon. He's 5 laps down off of the racetrack. Miguel Paludo, Brian Eichler, Max Pappas, Garvey, Edwards, Fenton Jones, and Borneman all off of the racetrack.
You got to look at Jennifer Jo Cobb. She's running 9th. Norm Benning down in 13th. You have these attrition races, and it gives people that don't run up front all the time a chance to maybe get a great finish. We're seeing that here today.
How about that 19 MMI Chevrolet right there, David Mayhew. David from out here on the West Coast, a great competitor in the K&N Pro Series West Division.
Finished second in the championship a year ago.
Let me guess, to Greg Pursley?
not last year. Eric Holmes last year.
Every time I look up, it's those two together.
Yeah, exactly. And Greg Pursley just about clinched it this year if he hadn't already.
Extensive damage to the 4. Let's take another look at what just happened.
I can't believe that thing getting shaken really bad. I think the rear end housing would be bent, or the drive shaft, or some trouble up under it, as hard as he gets clobbered from behind.
This has to be a terrible feeling for a driver. There's nothing that was stopping him from sliding back up that racetrack.
No, he gets down on the flat like that. Centrifugal force is going to take over and move him up the racetrack, and that's why Cale Gill just barely got by before he got there. Everyone on the racetrack knows he's coming up, but there's just nothing they can do about it.
Look at Todd Bodine sneaking through, really fast truck. Also, Parker Kligerman was all up in the middle of that mess and was able to keep his truck heading in the right direction without any damage.
So much damage, so much debris on the racetrack, fluids on the racetrack. The red flag came out. They've cleaned the racetrack, and now the 4 of Carmichael continuing to make adjustments, trying to get that truck a little bit better.
I'm telling you, they've done some pretty amazing repairs to that monster Chevrolet right there. It doesn't look that bad right now.
It almost turned over, and yet they still keep it on the road.
Trying to get into the top 15 in the point standings for Ricky Carmichael. Field back in line 2 by 2. Following behind the pace truck. Randy Kaiser takes that onto pit road. So Hornaday and Timothy Peters, 1 and 2. Hornaday on the outside. Timothy Peters on the inside.
See what we get this time, Phil. 4 wide last time.
Green flag back in the air.
Good start by Timothy Peters on the inside of Hornaday.
See Joey Coulter, he's squeezed up in this battle alongside Mayhew. Cole Witt trying to make some noise here.
Track officials did a nice job cleaning up all the speed zorb that was put down. Mayhew looked to the inside for a second.
Have they restarted yet?
They
just like they did a lap ago.
2 by 2 as they work their way through 3 and 4. Now the top 3 has separated themselves. Still side by side as they come to the stripe for the lead. Hornaday just in front of Timothy Peters. But Peters now flexing his muscles as he goes into turn number 1. Gets the advantage into 1 and 2. Here comes Hornaday on the outside again.
Remember, both these guys up in the top 5 in points with Austin Dillon's problems right now. They stand to gain some ground.
Being brought back into that championship picture, and they continue to battle for the lead as they go into 3.
Can we get Ron on that graphic now, Phil, with people racing for this championship?
I think we have to put him on there.
The momentum of his 50th win catapult him back into the championship picture. Hornaday back out front of Timothy Peters, but here comes Peters once again on the bottom of the racetrack.
I'm impressed with Peters' ability to hang the bottom and try to complete that pass on Hornaday. It's a tough job to do down there.
Joey Coulter running in the 3rd spot, and it's David Mayhew. James Busher, currently your points leader by 18 over the 3 of Austin Dillon, still trying to make laps.
How about the points now as they run? James Busher now with a comfortable 18-point lead over Austin Dillon. A lot of race here left to go, but look at Hornaday and Peters moving up.
Side-by-side battle. That's James Busher, current points leader on the inside. Todd Bodine making the move in the 5 on the outside, following his teammate Brendan Gaughan in that Big O Tires number 62.
What about Sauter? He started in the back. He's already driven around the point leader, so doesn't look like Busher's got the truck he's going to need to contend for the win with early in the going. They can make some adjustments to it, but look at Sauter, strong.
Just like yesterday, that 13 truck is extremely strong. He's had a couple close calls, a couple bumps along the way, but looks like that truck has not been affected.
Take a look off of Brendan Gaughan's truck. Looking back at Todd Bodine and Johnny Sauter to his inside.
Inside 13.
Todd's going to pull in behind him to help him. Look at the run it gave Brennan when Todd pulled in behind him.
We talked about these guys running wide open in practice yesterday. Oh, Todd says move over a little bit, Johnny. I need some space.
Need a little extra space here.
There's not going to be a whole lot of wide open here today.
Into the infield. Max Gresham in the 66 and the 73 of Brent Raymer goes sideways. Raymer in the grass. Gresham back up on the racetrack.
Michael, you called it. With these hot conditions here, we haven't had a day race here in several years. Never on this newer surface, the reconfigured surface. We've had a lot of attrition.
Crash, crash, crash. Those dudes were racing for the 18th spot. We've seen the 66 of Max Gresham have some issues a couple of times keeping that truck pointed straight.
Yeah, Michael, this is not the way Max Gresham wanted to start his Truck Series career after making his first ever start here at Vegas.
He needs to stop that baby there. That's oil, and that'll blow up the motor running around with the oil running out of it.
Brett Raymer gets a little bit loose. Max really with nowhere to go was right behind him, and he's just going to carry each other right into the infield here.
Another couple of trucks. Phil.
Whoa, look at Max get airborne.
Across that quarter-mile racetrack right in the infield here.
Another couple of trucks that were ahead of Austin Dillon. He's just going to keep creeping up toward that top 20 like you said.
There's Austin. He's going to have a good look at this. You see the 73 of Brett Raymer get sideways. See Austin way off the gas here. Now he sees him down in the grass. He's going to get back in the throttle and get by just in case they may slide back up the racetrack.
Ricky Carmichael's view.
Watch these trucks jump through the infield. Wow.
Ricky's like, don't come up the racetrack. I've already experienced that today.
You could hear Ricky get in the brakes hard and actually lock the rear wheels up. There's another view. The 73 of Brett Raymer gets sideways.
Watch these trucks hit the infield track and how much they leave the ground. Just some good old boys.
All four tires off the ground. He cleared the rest of that quarter-mile track.
Ain't no making no noise.
Coming to pit road, Hornaday leading the field once again. Just behind him, Timothy Peters, Joey Coulter, David Mayhew. Let's go down to Krista.
Joey Coulter coming in, talking about he had a good line, good corner on his last runs. He had taken just 2 tires on the last stop, right?
Going to make a adjustment on the left rear of that number 17. Up a couple rounds on the left rear, Jack Bolt, and put some fuel in it. We see in the bottom of the screen David Mayhew there. They're coming down, making sure they get plenty of fuel there. And for the 2, they said fuel only. Hornaday said, what do you think about maybe taking tires? Not sure, guys. Did you see what happened at the front of the field?
Yeah, it looked like Hornaday may have put tires on. Right now, Matt Crafton is on pit road as well, putting tires on.
Hornaday came off of pit road 3rd, losing 2 spots to the 17 and the 22. Both moving up 1. Johnny Sauter still out on the racetrack, being chased by Nelson Piquet Jr. We'll be right back with more here on Speed. Purchase a pass to the Speed Garage at the Talladega Experience and save $20 on a one-of-a-kind hospitality offer. Enjoy race day food and drink and exclusive access to Speed Talent and free passes. Visit speed.com/deals for more information.
This thing is all mixed up. People on differing pit strategy, like you talked about, Phil. I thought with a slick track you'd want 4 tires every time you could get them. We found out down in the garage area, nah, they'll be okay. It's slick, but the tires are fine. We've got all these different strategies. Ray, the 13 stayed out that time leading the race, but now he's behind on fuel.
Well, here's the situation, Michael. He last pitted on lap 32, and these other trucks came down on 42. So about a 10-lap window, but those weren't all under green. I just jumped on the box and asked his crew chief, Joe Shear, can you guys make it on one more stop? He said, we're about 5 laps short of that, and it would have to fall just perfectly. So far, we're not quite sure what the next strategy mark will be.
Well, these caution laps are going to help them on that fuel mileage, too. I mean, a few more caution laps, they may be able to do it. But I think if we get another caution, I think he's going to come to pit road anyway.
And then we're going to get another caution, you'd think. These guys are really driving crazy today.
You're making a pretty bold prediction there as we've completed 44 laps and already 5 cautions here in Vegas. Green flag back in the air. Sauter on the outside. Nelson Piquet Jr. on the inside. Look at Parker Kligerman making the move to the inside, making it 3 wide as they go into turn 1.
He needs to give that spot back, though. He started that move before he got to the start-finish line. Not able to do that. Looks like he gave it back and some, though.
Back out of the gas, and that's allowed quite a few trucks to make the move on the high side around him.
What about some of these trucks sniffing the lead? Jason White in the backup truck. Ryan Sieg up in the top 5. Blake Feast. All these guys racing toward the front.
Well, here's the adversity that I was talking about earlier, is he having to deal with, we saw the 3 of Austin Dillon going behind the wall. I called it diversity earlier. I apologize. It was definitely adversity. Right now, it's Johnny Sauter in front. Jason White running 2nd. Joey Coulter 3rd. Star 4th. Bodine 5th.
Yeah, Johnny Sauter right now is loving nobody on his rear tailgate.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of truckers, like I talked about, enjoying the fact that this track is so slick and things are so mixed up that they're really having some strong runs. There's Hornaday.
Problems behind Hornaday. Blake Feast in the 32.
Is that James Busher? Our point leader right now?
James Busher in the 31. Extensive damage to that truck.
Well, boys, let's just bring Timothy Peters and Ron Hornaday back in this point battle. What do you think?
Right back into this point battle.
And then Austin Dillon just went to the garage. He was picking up spot after spot with all these crashes, and now he's in the garage.
That was a battle for 14th, and look at the damage to this 31 of James Busher.
Remember, only one race this year. Martinsville, did that truck not finish in the top 11 other than obviously the Phoenix race that he didn't compete?
He won't get 11th here. That thing's torn up on both sides. They'll spend a lot of time in the garage area fixing James's truck.
Take a look at what just happened on the racetrack. Blake Feast in the 32, James Busher in the 31.
Oh, yeah, Blake just gets loose right in front of James. James absolutely nowhere to go. He gets pinned up against the outside wall.
We talked earlier that James just didn't seem to have the truck to run toward the front with, running back there in 14th or 15th. Another truck spins around in front of him, and he's in trouble.
Gets
so
caught up.
It's unlucky, but it's also about performance. He just hadn't had the truck to get to the front with today.
And we thought that our points battle was tight coming into this race, where there was only 3 points that separated the top two. Well, now enter 4 and 5 in this points battle. So now you've got 5 guys that are all running within 35 points of each other for the championship.
Ricky Carmichael, see what he saw there.
I can't believe
right out in front of him. You're going to see Blake get sideways. Then James had committed to the outside, nowhere to go. Ricky does a nice job just jumping down to the apron to get by.
I can't believe that truck's even still on the track to see that stuff. But thanks for the pictures, Ricky.
Krista, take a look at this 31.
Yeah, they talked about going back to the garage. They said, okay, let's bring it down pit road, see what we've got. As he came onto pit road as the crew chief, Michael Shelton finally got his first look at the truck. All he said were 3 words. Oh my gosh. Now they're working on the front end. Obviously, it is crushed. They're backing him up. This is a huge detriment, though. They had just said earlier laps, we have to take advantage of the opportunity we've been given.
Yeah, may have a broken brake rotor, something like that. Whenever you make hard contact, a lot of times it'll break the brake rotor.
That opportunity he was talking about was the problems that the 3 has been dealing with, and now James Busher, who was the points leader, gets involved in this incident. He'll go behind the wall. Welcome back to the Smiths 350 here on Speed, your motorsports authority. About to get ready for the restart. A little confusion up front. David Starr decided to drive around to the front of the field. He's not sure where he's going to restart this one. The Aaron's Lucky Dog goes to Jennifer Jo Cobb in the number 10. So she'll get a lap back. Cobb being scored 4 laps down to the field now. And again, as we've talked about, guys with problems. Austin Dillon was 5 laps down. He's taken his truck behind the wall. They're going to continue to work on that because every point is going to count in this championship, as we've had 2 major point contenders behind the wall already today.
Yeah, I thought Dillon was just going to cruise along, Phil, stay 5 laps down, and maybe even creep into the top 15. But something's gone wrong with the truck, Ray. What's wrong?
Well, Michael, they found out that the left side track bar mount was actually broken from the initial crash, and they just didn't have a feel. Austin did not have a feel for the truck on the track, so when they went to the garage, they're welding that mount back on, and they will return to the track. They're not done for the day, but they've got to make that adjustment. Krista?
Well, what's really interesting back here in the garage, Ray, is the fact that as the 3 team, the RCR team, is scrambling to do that welding, right next door, literally the garage stall next door, is James Busher, where this team is working on the fenders and the radiator. I mean, it's almost like the teams are going head-to-head trying to get each other back on the track.
Every point critical in this championship in 2011. Field all in line. Johnny Sauter, Jason White, 1 and 2 as they cross the stripe. Green flag back out.
Johnny Sauter was able to open up a little bit of a lead on Jason White before that last caution came out, but Jason's fighting back in the inside. He wants a little bit of that lead.
Yeah, I talked to Jason a lot, and he said those restarts at Kentucky when he thought he had a chance to win and Kyle Busch put him away, he spun his tires. He said, I'll never forget that, and I'm going to make better restarts. But you could see he got off to a good start, but then he stalled out.
I'll tell you what, David Starr must have made a very good argument to NASCAR because he started up in the top 4, currently running second now behind Sauter.
Look at that 3-wide battle. Cole with the 60, Jason White stuck in the middle with the 23, and David Mayhew the 19 on the inside.
Yeah, and I bet you Hornaday sitting there in that pole-winning truck, the red one going high, is holding his breath. With all the action we've seen here, he knows he's got a truck he can win with. He just needs to get through this traffic.
He might be holding his breath, but he's passing him. He went by him on the outside.
By Justin Lofton and Jason White. Again, Jason White restarted this race second already. White has dropped back almost out of the top 10. Brendan Gaughan in the Big O Tire 62 just in front of Joey Coulter. Gaughan up into the 5th spot now, chasing his teammate Todd Bodine in the 5 just in front of him.
You know how much Brendan would love to have a good run here. He's a former winner here at this racetrack. He's from right here in Las Vegas.
Here comes Austin back.
Austin Dillon making his way back out onto the racetrack.
Welded up his suspension and says, I got to go get some points. The guy leading this thing's in the garage.
Oh, look at Coulter's into the outside wall right in front of Hornaday.
Joey Coulter into the wall coming out of turn number 4. We stay green. They're keeping their eye on that 22 to see if any debris has come off of the race truck.
Did he have a flat tire?
Or not? He might now, but I think he just got a little bit loose, Michael, and chased it up the hill.
I know, got in the wall right front messed up.
Right front definitely messed up on the 22.
See if we can see what happens.
Watch, he just gets loose. He's right in front of Hornaday. Watch, he gets loose. Maybe when Hornaday pulls up to him, you see him get sideways, and then had to chase it up the hill and ran out of racetrack.
Cole Witt, that fuel doctor number 60 goes by.
Remember I told you Ron was holding his breath?
Big time holding it right then.
Rightfully so, because he snuck underneath Coulter, and then here comes Cole Witt on the bottom.
David Mayhew in my spotlight. He was able to get by as well. So Joey Coulter makes his way onto pit road. We stay green. 55 laps complete on lap 56. It's still Johnny Sauter out front. Timothy Peters running second. Brendan Gaughan back in that 4th spot behind Todd Bodine.
You know, Joey Coulter was leading that point battle by 4 points over Cole Witt, with Nelson Piquet Jr. just 12 points behind. So that's going to hurt him in that battle.
Yeah, the Rookie of the Year battle tightening up. And we've had a rookie win at this racetrack the past 2 years. Could we have another rookie go up toward the front? Let's go down to Chris Devoto.
And you heard the sort of the panic in Joey Coulter's voice saying he just didn't know what happened. Now they're screaming on the radio, 4 tires, guys, 4. They have not taken 4 tires in this race. They took 2 earlier and then fuel only. This is their first 4-tire stop. But a lot of panic, a lot of heartache for the 22.
Yeah, they took some pretty significant right front damage there, Krista. I don't know that tires are going to be enough to fix that. When you see a truck hit the wall that hard and you just put tires on it, chances are you're going to blow out a tire again.
It's a battle for the 3rd spot. Brendan Gaughan goes by Todd Bodine to take 3rd away, and looks like he's moving to the front, just like that champion Chevy Silverado behind him, driven by Ron Hornaday.
And Ron Hornaday knows that each one of those positions is another point. 1 point per position, and Ron Hornaday is racing his way back into this championship hunt. Obviously with a little problems from our 2-point leaders coming in. Ray, what's going on with that 2 truck?
Well, Phil, when they pitted on lap 42, they put left side tires on that, and they've taken a look at those tires, and there was absolutely no wear. So I promise you, the next time you see that 2 truck down pit road, it'll be right sides or maybe no tires, but they're all done with left sides for the rest of today.
He's charging Ray. He's made his way down underneath Todd Bodine down in turn 3 and 4.
That's Brendan Gaughan. He's going to get by now to take over the 3rd spot. He restarted 10th back on lap number 52, so 7 laps. Joey Coulter, just as you said, Michael.
Yeah, more than just that tire going down. He's got some suspension damage, that 22, back into the wall. That brings the caution out for the 7th time today.
Yeah, you called it exactly,
Coming low,
Michael.
Joey. Coming low.
Well,
we're not halfway. 7 cautions. We aren't halfway.
I'm going to need a relief commentator. This is wearing me out.
Let's take another look at what just happened.
Yeah, normally when you get into the wall as hard as Joey did earlier, you have some pretty significant damage. They didn't spend a great deal of time on pit road, so he goes down in the corner and looks like maybe something cut that right front tire again. Right in front of Brendan Gaughan. Brendan, one of those, close your eyes and maybe he'll be gone when you get there. Nice job by Brendan.
Take another look. Brendan Gaughan just behind that 22 and just slid up the racetrack and into the wall. Seven cautions, 60 laps into this race. Still over 10 laps away from halfway. CenturyLink.com, your link to what's coming up next. NASCAR Race Day following us right after the truck race. That'll be part 2.
Part 2. Well, we're already at part 1.
John Roberts will get you ready for everything going on in Charlotte. NASCAR Race Day.
We tried to tell them over there in Charlotte we don't have no grip out here in Vegas. We have a lot of action, and we've seen just that. But, man, at Charlotte tonight for the Bank of America 500, we're talking grip and speed and the intensity of one of the most exciting chases ever. What a great race that's going to be.
We still have 84 laps when they come back by the stripe. It'll be 83 to go in this one of 146 laps. That 219 miles, 350 kilometers, hence the name Smith's 350 for this race.
A few cautions, a red flag for good measure.
Mixture for some great racing. Let's hear from Ray Dunlap on the 2-truck.
2-truck came in on lap 61, fuel only, no tires there, but on that same pit stop cycle, Johnny Sauter was down. He went down 1 round on the track bar and put on 4 tires. So my guess is they'll have to come back for fuel later.
Green flag back in the air. Timothy Peters, Brendan Gaughan up in front of the field. David Mayhew looking to the inside now, and at number 19, Parker Kligerman giving the 17 a little shove as they go into 1.
How about Ron Hornaday moves to the outside of Kligerman to make it 3 wide.
Here comes Justin Lofton, going to try to follow Ron back. Kligerman. First time we've called his name. A little contact in the pack there.
Battle for the lead continues. Brendan Gaughan on the inside. Timothy Peters on the outside. Here comes Hornaday to give Peters a little help as they go through 3 and 4.
Mayhew and Lofton back rounding out that top 5. We talked about all these guys having great runs because of others making mistakes, and no better names than Mayhew and Lofton to add to that list.
And meanwhile, Ron Hornaday is going to go for the lead on Timothy Peters on the outside, and he's going to drive around him.
Down Nellis straightaway, it's Ron Hornaday taking the lead away from the 17 of Timothy Peters.
We've seen Ron Hornaday sideways more this summer than we've ever seen him sideways in these trucks, but not anymore. Baby, that thing looks like it's on a rail, and he's driving it to the front.
They stay side by side for the lead. Just behind him, the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. I talked to him yesterday. He said, we're not going to qualify very well, but in race trim, very, very stout. So he thinks he's got something for the field as the laps continue to click off.
He's proven that right now, that he's got a great truck racing his way up into the top 5. But that 2-truck continues to be the strong one.
Class of the field is Ron Hornaday today.
Maybe the only truck that has shown the speed that Ron has is the 13 of Johnny Sauter. His strategy has him back outside the top 5 now, making him move for a spot in the top 5, coming down the stripe. There he is, grabbing 5th away from David Mayhew.
Remember, as Ray reported, 4 fresh tires. Crew Chief Joe Shear said, just leave when tires are changed. Don't wait on fuel because we're going to have to stop again anyway.
Ray, what else are they talking with the 13 truck?
Well, Rick, he got squeezed a little bit on that restart and was afraid there was damage on the left front, but the guys down here with binoculars looked it over, said everything is really good. And Joe Shear reminded him just a moment ago on the radio. He said, keep in mind, today is a great day in the points for us, as long as you just do what we know you can do. Don't do anything stupid, because the 3 and the 31 have both already had trouble.
Yeah, it's been an amazing points day already. Austin Dillon on lap number 2 gets into the wall. He was your points leader coming in by 3. Then problems for James Busher. Austin Dillon, where he's running on the track, currently your point leader by 2 over Johnny Sauter. James Busher's dropped back to 3rd. He's 5 points back. Ron Hornaday's up to 4th, 16 points back, and Timothy Peters is 19 points back in 5th.
Ron Hornaday comes in here 42 points behind, and we're saying he can race his way back in here, and I'll be darned if he's not doing it.
Hornaday looking extremely strong out front, has a half a second over Timothy Peters as the battle continues behind them. Lofton and Sauter.
Another impressive truck is Jason White. We saw him drop like a rock on the restart all the way back outside the top 10, but he's crept his way back toward the front.
And remember, a backup truck. Not one lap did he turn in this truck before qualifying. Nelson Piquet Jr. gets real sideways coming off turn 4. That's going to give Mayhew a little bit of momentum, but he's not going to take advantage of it. Tucks in behind him.
They stay nose to tail for those spots, and then they scatter once they get to 1 and 2.
You know, they were on pit road under the hood of that 23 truck early in the going. That's evident that they hadn't got any practice and they needed some adjustments. Man, they made the right ones to it.
And remember, this is the first race back for crew chief Chad Kendrick, who was suspended for 4 races. This is his first one back.
So you see 1 and 2 making their way into turns 1 and 2. Hornaday in front of Timothy Peters has again about a half a second lead over second place Timothy Peters. Brendan Gaughan and that Big O Tires running in the 3rd spot. Loft in 4th. Johnny Sauter in 5th. This is just for men, mustache and beard. Keep your edge, and it has to be. Coming into this race, our point leader Austin Dillon. Problems on lap number 2, extensive damage to that race truck. They went behind the wall after working on that truck on pit road.
Had to go back and weld up the track bar mount in the garage area. There you see him doing that work right there.
And while he was sitting there, point leader James Busher came in and sat beside him, but they got their stuff fixed and back on the track.
Austin Dillon scored 21st, 14 laps down. Just for men, mustache and beard, keep your edge.
Aaron's is trying to help them all they can. They're giving them 3 lucky dogs today.
4th and 5th. Brendan Gaughan just in front of Johnny Sauter.
We saw Justin Lofton get around Brendan Gaughan while we were away to break, and now Sauter's coming knocking.
Ray, they were on pit road just a little while ago. What's happening with that 13 truck?
Not happy with it at all, Rick, and they're about 6 seconds behind our leader, Ron Hornaday. And Sauter said this truck is extremely loose. It's the worst we've been all day. You got to take a big swing at it if we're going to have a shot to win this thing on the next pit stop.
You see right out in front of Brendan Gaughan, that's the 6th truck of Justin Lofton. What a great run he's having. He stayed out on lap number 23 caution. He was running 17th. He got to track position. He moved up to 4th, and that's how he stayed there this entire race. A great run for that Eddie Sharp team, collegecomplete.com. Big things going to happen next year at Eddie Sharp Racing.
Yeah, I saw Eddie down in the garage area this morning. I said, you got a lot going on, don't you, bud? And he said, yeah, and it's all good. We love what we're putting together. And just seeing Justin Lofton run like he is here today shows Eddie Sharp that the things that he's got going on are going well. Phil, we talked about a slip track. Contrary to popular belief, that doesn't necessarily mean just loose. When the track is slick, if your truck is pushing, it's going to want to push worse. And if you're loose, it's going to be looser, which is why we've seen so many crashes. But if you think about Johnny Sauter, he's loose, so he knows he's got to deal with it being even looser than it would be normally, and he has to drive accordingly.
Yeah, I was down in the garage here, and a lot of the crew chiefs were really wondering, because we had warm temperatures yesterday during practice, but they didn't run these kind of numbers of laps, and they were really wondering what this racetrack was going to do, the direction it was going to go.
Saw that fuel doctor, number 60 of Cole Witt, taking the 9th spot away from David Mayhew. Now the 13 of Johnny Sauter's been able to get by that 62 of Brendan Gaughan.
Matt Kraft on the 88 Menard Chevrolet has caught that group. See Matt down on the inside of that yellow truck trying to move around Brendan. Brendan's moving, using that patented high line that he likes so much.
Running along in 5th spot. James got his truck fixed. He's back in the game. Going to keep his edge and try to minimize the damage, but darn, he went from the penthouse to the outhouse with one little spin. What happened to Brendan?
Racing top 5. We see Brendan Gaughan falling off the pace now in that number 62.
Looked like he lost momentum a little bit coming off turn 4. That allowed Matt to jump around him. Actually, Matt had to pretty much take evasive action to get around Brendan.
PK Jr. in the 8 coming on as well, chasing after Brendan Gaughan.
Real tight off that corner right there.
Yeah, real tight off that corner. Had to get out of the throttle, and that's what killed his momentum.
Now he's running a little bit lower line, especially for Brendan. He normally runs the high line around a racetrack.
Right behind Brendan, that's the 8 truck of Nelson Piquet Jr. What a tremendous job I think this rookie has done. Not a rookie to motorsports, certainly a former F1 veteran, but doing a great job for his first foray into these type vehicles. Really doing a super job. Had a great 2nd place run early this year at Nashville for his best. Several top 5 finishes though.
Yeah, his last time out, 4th in Kentucky. So he's got this truck thing figured out. He's been able to really get this these big old trucks under him figured out. This is so, you said a lot of experience in motorsports, but man, this is so diversely different. I'd like that word, Rick. than what he's used to, that I'm sure that people around him, his team and himself, is really pleased with the job that he's been able to do.
21 laps now, this green flag stretch. That's 3 times longer than any other green flag stretch we've had in this race so far.
Yeah, and amazingly enough, here's a statistic that'll blow your mind. Ron Hornaday has been out front for 54 laps. Well, that's the most laps he's led all year, with the exception of Kentucky, the last race he ran.
He's won 3 races. What do you mean that's the longest lap he's led?
Well, and like I said earlier, he's been loose. He's been bobbing and weaving all year long. He gets in this 2 truck, and we haven't seen him put a tire track out of whack. It's been really impressive.
Yeah, hits keep coming for James Busher. He was too fast exiting pit road after they did all that work on the truck, so they made him come back down pit road, pass through penalty.
A couple more spots he can gain. Butch Miller is right in front of him. He's off the racetrack, as well as Joey Coulter and B.J. McLeod in the 93. So there may be some more positions for Busher to gain.
Yeah, guess what Austin Dillon's done? He's pushed his way up into the top 20. So that's minimizing some damage.
We have passed the halfway point. 85 laps complete. This is lap 86. Hornaday out in front, looking for win number 51. The momentum definitely on his side as he has a second lead over Timothy Peters. Go to the NASCAR section of speed.com. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series season coming down to the final races, which means the action is heating up, not only here in the desert. Go to speed.com. That brings you all the action from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Ron Hornaday out in front of the field, has a 1.5 second lead over Timothy Peters now. Johnny Sauter runs third. Lofton and Crafton battling for the 4th spot. And it's PK Jr., Brendan Gaughan, Jason White, Cole Witt, and David Mayhew, your top 10.
There's that battle for 4th right there. Justin Lofton, the college complete. Chevy, the 6th. Now Crafton's going to move to the inside to try to take over that 4th spot. Nelson Piquet Jr. following that side-by-side battle in the 8 truck.
Longest green flag run of the day. We should throw this into the mix. We'll probably have green flag pit stops after everything that took place in the first half of this race.
I would be disappointed if we didn't. Got to mix it up, have a little bit of everything. We've had certainly that.
An amazing point battle building as we see great side-by-side racing here. In the battle for position, the 4th spot, Matt Crafton has it now. Justin Lofton trying to hold on to the 5th position as we see Nelson Piquet Jr. move up on the inside, trying to take that 5th spot away.
Nelson drafted in behind Matt Crafton and was just hoping he could slip through past Justin Lofton with Matt, but couldn't quite get it done. Now he's got to try to battle him side by side. It's just so difficult to make that move down on the bottom in these corners.
Looked like Justin lost the front end a little bit down there at the other end. Did not lose enough momentum to allow the 8 of PK to get on the inside of him.
It's definitely better. He's having some problems figuring not only probably exactly how to make that move, but the experience of what it's going to do when he gets in those positions. All those things he learns. We've seen Nelson get in a bind, get sideways under other trucks, but say this stuff. So he's a little bit careful now trying to make these moves, but it's still very hard, Phil.
Looks like he might have him right here. See if he has him cleared. He is in front of him now. Pull up in front of him now. There you go.
Continuing to gain experience every lap here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Nelson Piquet Jr. has moved up into that 5th position.
Something's wrong with Parker Kligerman. He's slow on the bottom. Notice the last few laps he's been running at a reduced rate.
Krista.
What's really impressive with Justin Lofton's run is the fact that his crew was actually a little bit rushed today. There you see the crew guys. Their plane had issues getting here. They were supposed to arrive at the track around 9 or 9:30 this morning. They arrived while driver intros was going on, barely making the race. They've been handling the pressure just fine, Ray.
17 truck coming to pit road. He has said that he would like to put 4 tires on here. Crew Chief Butch Hilton said, don't know what that'll do for track position. Looks like they're going right sides for sure. And the lead lap trucks should all be down here to pit road in the next 2 or 3 laps. That certainly puts them in a good window. It will be 4 tires for that gear wrench Toyota. And they're also going to put a ½ a pound of air pressure in the right front to try to help him turn.
Amazingly enough, this is very early for green flag pit stops. They were just on pit road on lap 61. We've only gone 35 laps, but we're seeing guys making their way onto pit road.
A lot of the vehicles. Here's right here the big O tire Tundra of Brendan Gaughan on pit road.
3,
right.
2, 1.
Parker Kligerman saying he just cannot get through the center of the corner the way he would like to with that Penske racetrack, and they're working on the right sides. They're a bit of a hang-up on the right rear, obviously, and just in front of him, the 62 there, Brendan Gaughan talking about how tight his truck has been all day. Not able to get the steering wheel down in the center the way he'd like. They made an adjustment for him, and Kligerman also will go back to the racetrack.
David Mayhew also on pit road.
David gave up a top 10 spot to come down pit road.
It's an extremely lengthy pit stop there for David.
Nelson Piquet Jr. pitted on lap number 48. That's been 50 laps since he stopped, so it won't be long before he comes in. But we have a few laps left before the trucks that pitted on lap number 61, which right now is most of our top 10. 9 of our top 10 running trucks right now pitted on lap 61.
Has this become a road race, a road course race?
Running
because
backwards?
Yeah, they're in their pit window now. They wouldn't have to stop again, but they stopped early.
The most significant guy that people will keep their eyes on is the leader. What's he going to do? And so far, he looks like... Sounded like he got a little bit loose down in 3 and 4 that lap. Is that what he's saying?
I believe so. As Hornaday again has now an 8-second lead over second place Johnny Sauter. There are only 10 trucks on the lead lap. Ryan Sieg running in that 10th spot, and he's about to go a lap down to Ron Hornaday.
Yeah, because of these green flag pit stops. Brendan Gaughan coming to pit road. Timothy Peters coming to pit road. David Mayhew. That's what's left us with only 10 trucks right now on the lead lap. A huge lead. There's Johnny Sauter just now getting to the start-finish line. Running second.
Behind Johnny, his teammate Matt Crafton just in front of that 19 of David Mayhew.
Mayhew right now being shown 2 laps down after his green flag pit stop. As Michael mentioned, it looked like there was an extended stay for that look like normal pit work for the 19 truck.
And you got nationwide guys racing over in Charlotte last night. The Cup guys over there. You're picking for good quality experienced pit crew guys over the wall is a little limited, so I'm sure David and those guys just struggled a little bit on that stop.
And remember, very limited schedule with their own truck. David had a couple top 5 runs, a couple third-place finishes in the 2 truck for KHI. This is their own truck for the team that they race the West Series with.
Yeah, and KHI and these top teams, they have great pit crew guys here in Vegas, but if you're a part-time team, you want to bum those Cup guys. You want to see if you can borrow some backups so you can have better stops, and David and those guys weren't probably able to do that out here.
2 distinctly different lines being run by Todd Bodine and Cole Witt. Bodine running a little bit higher through 1 and 2, also does the same thing through 3 and 4 as we see the fuel doctor number 60 of Cole Witt running the bottom of the racetrack. Those 2 racing 7th and 8th now.
Yeah, Todd right now I think searching for grip right now. He's been on tires for over 40 laps. Here's Piquet Jr. down on pit road, Krista.
Yeah, Nelson Piquet had been complaining a little bit about his truck getting tight. He actually 2 laps ago said, "Can I come now?" Crew Chief Jeff Hensley says, "No, you got to wait 2 more. We're going to pump it full of fuel." He said, "Okay, now come." Nelson Piquet had been ready for the last couple laps for handling that truck.
If green flag pit stops continuing, Nelson Piquet Jr. will go a lap down. That puts only 8 trucks on the lead lap. David Starr running 8th, 22 seconds back. Ron Hornaday has now just a 6.9 second lead over the field. And Hornaday potentially making his way onto pit road coming out of turn 4. He's going to stay out.
They may be discussing that now. Bruce Cook, crew chief for Ron, may be discussing.
This time we're hearing.
Yes, this time.
So a little communication issue between driver and crew chief. I think the handling's gone away a little bit on that truck, Phil. Lap times over the last few laps have been a couple tenths slower than Johnny Sauter. We've seen Sauter cut into that 8-second lead.
And remember, now this is by far the longest they've run under green, as Ron's going to make his way to pit road right now. Has to be very, very careful. He's done this a million times, Krista. Can't speed on pit road.
Yeah, Phil, and Nelson Piquet having to come back in. The official, as he pulled away, waving his hand. They have slug nuts. They took the advantage to put a little more fuel in, though, Ray.
Krista, it was lap 61 when Hornaday came last time, and remember, I told you they did fuel only that time, and Bruce Cook said be very, very careful not to slide the tires. Well, this time they've got tires up on the wall. Going to be right side tires for sure. They just changed and made a change down here on which set of tires they wanted to put on it. These are sticker tires, and it will be 4 tires on this Champion Filter Chevrolet. Hornaday saying nothing on the radio. 4 tires going on. Good quick stop. He'll go back to the track. That was lap 106.
That's such a big advantage for Ron Hornaday, having that huge lead to come in. He can take the extra time to put 4 tires down. Now Johnny Sauter may not want to do that. He might want to do 2 to gain some of that track position back.
Ron Hornaday looking for win number 51, coming back out on the racetrack. He doesn't have to stop anymore until the checkered flag. Welcome back to Smith's 350 right here on Speed. Your Motorsports Authority out in front. It's Johnny Sauter about to make his green flag pit stops. There are only 4 on the lead lap. Sauter making the hard left turn. He'll follow Blake Feast onto pit road. So Johnny Sauter gives up the lead. Todd Bodine was running second. We'll see if he stays out on the racetrack or if he'll make his pit stop as well. Let's go down to Ray.
Well, Rick, keep in mind, Johnny Sauter's been on the radio saying this truck is the worst that it's been all day. Lap 61's the last time they came in. They put on 4 tires there, so I thought that might give them a gas-only option here. But crew chief Joe Shear said, we got to make changes. You see the track bar in the back. They'll make that one go down 2 rounds. Come back over here. It will be a 4-tire stop for this Safe Auto Chevrolet. Everything's smooth so far. Maybe just a tiny hang-up in the left rear. All the lug nuts on. Sauter back to the track. He pitted on lap 111.
Michael, you were pointing to the screen there. There's some damage to the left front fender of Johnny Sauter. That could potentially give him a tire rub at least.
Well, we heard about some contact on a restart, and evidently that damaged that left front side, and that could change his handling.
But I look slow on the racetrack. He's your race leader. Looks like maybe back up to speed now down the backstretch.
Hasn't pitted yet. Last pitted on lap number 61. It's been 51 laps since that 5 truck has been on pit road. Looks like he's not coming this time either. Staying up high.
Getting some reports from the spotters around the track that the thing sounds like maybe it's running on.
Yeah, it didn't sound well when it went across the start-finish line. We could hear it on some of the microphones on our cameras there.
About a second off the pace too, so evidently something is wrong with the engine on that 5 truck.
So Hornaday, after making a green flag pit stop, the only other truck on the lead lap, as Bodine has put everyone else a lap down before he'll make the hard left turn onto pit road.
He's coming now, Rick.
So Bodine will give up the lead.
Grabbed a bonus point there for leading the lap with a sick truck, so I'm sure that was part of the plan.
Krista.
Yeah, sick truck indeed. He came on the radio and said, Junior, meaning Mike Hillman Jr., it's really bad now. His crew chief said, just hold on, ride it out. We'll come in and get our 2 tires. It's going to be a 2-tire change in fuel. And then he reminded him, go ahead and check it when we leave. Ray?
Krista, Johnny Sauter just came on the radio and said the engine shut off. There's something wrong with the ignition. I don't know what it is, but we had no power. And he said, well, it's back. What is going on with this truck? Engine problems possible on the 13.
Nobody wants to win this championship. Johnny Sauter being scored on the racetrack, currently 2 points behind Austin Dillon in the championship run, and he's having mechanical issues.
Well, that just changed because he grabbed the spot away from.
He thinks he's blowing up.
Thinks he's blowing up, but he just passed Timothy Peters for the 3rd spot. Or actually, that would have been the 2nd spot.
You know, it's hard to predict what it could be. It could be an electrical problem, or he could have a valve spring fill that's just starting to give up on him, making the engine sound differently every now and then, and leading him to believe something's wrong with it.
Is this a situation where he's so close to a championship, currently tied with Austin Dillon, the way they're running on the track? Would you try to limp in 31 laps?
Without a doubt, he's going to stay out there as long as he can. As long as that thing stays under power, he's going to be out there.
Debris on the front straightaway.
Rick, if you were 10th in points, you'd try everything you could to get to the finish. But, man, anything you hear in that engine, it drives you nuts when you're racing for a championship. And we've seen the up and down year that Johnny Sauter's had. He either seems like he runs up front or finishes in the 20s. And how do you win a championship like that? But he's right in position to do just that.
Ron Hornaday, this caution's going to erase a 13-second lead he had over Johnny Sauter.
So Hornaday was out in front. 9 trucks on the lead lap. With this caution, will grab one of the trucks. More than likely, it's David Mayhew, who was running in the 10th spot. He will get the Aaron's lucky dog and be able to get back on the lead lap, which will make it 10 trucks on the lead lap. Championship leader Austin Dillon runs 20th. Second in the points coming in, James Busher, he's 21st. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranty, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. By AutoZone. Parts is just part of what we do. Get in the zone. AutoZone. By Just for Men Mustache and Beard. Keep your edge. And Ram Trucks. Designed, tested, and proven to be the best trucks we've ever built. Ram. And speaking of Ram, how about our Ram Guts and Glory? We've ridden along with Ricky Carmichael, and he has had quite a wild ride today.
Wouldn't you describe Ricky Carmichael as guts and glory?
Yeah. We know he has guts. He's called the GOAT, the greatest of all time. But wow, look at that contact with the 18 of Brian Eichler. Just a little bit of a nudge right there. He's trying to go in a hole that wasn't there. David Starr pulled up to the outside. Sent Ricky back up the racetrack right in Brian Eichler's path.
Almost sent him over on his roof. Check this contact out, and the truck turns up on its side a little bit.
What a tough day in the truck. And once he gets out of the truck, he'll actually go to work at the Monster Energy Cup, which is right here in Vegas tonight on Speed at 10.
Well, it'll be a lot harder job tonight he has.
Of course.
Yeah.
Broadcasting,
yes.
So much more difficult than driving.
I'm worn out up here.
A 2011 truck winner with us here in the booth. Ricky Carmichael back on pit road. Welcome back. CenturyLink.com, your link to what's coming up next. It's NASCAR race day. We've got 26 more laps here, and then John Roberts and the folks are going to get you ready for tonight's Charlotte race, Sprint Cup Series.
We have a new race here now. We're going to have 25 laps to go here when the green comes out.
The two best trucks have found their way to the front row. Can Sauter hang with Hornaday?
But will there be an issue with that 13, Johnny Sauter? Not sure what's going on under the hood. Green flag comes out. Hornaday, Sauter, 1 and 2 at the stripe.
Great start by Johnny Sauter down on the bottom. Kept it right even with Ron Hornaday.
He'd love to get in front of that 2 truck of Hornaday. Maybe put Ron in some dirty air. Maybe be able to stay out in front of him.
2 by 2 all the way back through 10th spot as they come down the backstretch.
Grafton's pushing Hornaday. Peters is pushing the 13 of Sauter.
You got to be on your toes every lap of the race to win one of these babies. Look at these guys battling late to going.
Sauter's going to pull up in front of his teammate Grafton. Now they're in line. Leaves Timothy Peters down in the inside by himself.
Hornaday out in front. Johnny Sauter running second. Crafton battling for third now.
Strong run on the bottom of the racetrack for Johnny Sauter. He pulled.
Oh, trouble.
Right behind our leaders. Into the wall. Hard contact.
Justin Lofton looked like he might have got clipped and turned into the outside wall. Brendan Goop right in front of Cale Gale.
Cale Gale gets caught up in this.
Holy cow.
9th caution comes out. Debris all over the racetrack.
Cale just truck looks just like Brian Eichler's did when he ran into Ricky Carmichael.
Austin Dillon moving by.
Lofton was running in the 6th spot, Phil, when he had trouble going down the back straightaway.
This may be a couple more positions for Austin Dillon. A lot of damage to that green Chevrolet of Cale Gale.
Yeah, Buscher is right behind Dillon right now, but he's 25 laps behind him in the order. So even though they're running.
And there's only 23 left in this race, so he can't get that position.
Buscher can't get these positions, but Austin can. So this could be a big deal for Austin.
Right.
Hey guys, that truck that you're looking at right there for Cale Gale was scheduled to be Ron Hornaday's truck when we go to Texas.
It's not going to be, I don't think.
Changing of the schedule
and if you
for that team.
They're going to have a hard time getting Ron out of that 2 truck. They better put a 2 on that truck if they want him to drive it.
Wow, Cale looked like he was at full speed when Justin came back up the racetrack. Justin could not control his truck down on the bottom.
Cale did an amazing job missing the wreck earlier.
See Justin Lofton now. He's side by side with Brendan Gaughan. Didn't leave Brendan enough room on the outside. They made contact, turned Justin into the wall.
Now look how far behind.
Well, look all the damage, though, the 6 of Justin Lofton has. He gets down to the apron here.
And he just, Cale Gale didn't expect Justin not to be able to turn. Obviously, the truck was tore all to pieces. It just went straight when he got to the corner. Cale did not understand that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, and we haven't talked enough about the 62 here, Brendan Gaughan. He's on the outside. He gets caught up and slams into the wall.
Yeah, Brendan was all up against the wall as far as he could go. Justin, I think, may have just lost the front end, got into Brendan, then it turned him into the outside wall. A lot of damage to Brendan's truck. He's bringing it down pit road now, Rick.
His wouldn't turn either when he got down to turn 3.
Brendan Gaughan making his way onto pit road. Krista.
Meanwhile, his teammate Todd Bodine baffled because they made that battery change, so they knew that was the issue. But when he went back out, he had a vibration that he didn't have before. He came in, they checked all the lug nuts on the left side. Those are the 2 tires they changed. Even checked the ones on the right just to be safe. He said, nope, it's still there. So they were going to put a rubber in the left rear. Todd said, no, that's not going to help. I'm loose in and in the middle. I still have that vibration. So they went for a right front shock change instead.
So out in front, it's Ron Hornaday, Johnny Sauter, Matt Crafton, Timothy Peters, and Jason White, your top 5 here. A great points battle. Another one building in the Sprint Cup Series. Let's go to the race day guys to find out what's going to happen next. Welcome back to Las Vegas, Nevada, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 9 cautions already today. 38 of our 126 laps have been under yellow. We only have 20 laps remaining as they continue to clean the racetrack and get us ready for the restart. It's going to be a shootout. There'll be potentially 19 laps to go when we get the green if they can get the track cleaned.
They're probably going to take a couple more laps because of all the speed zorb down and the jet dryers out trying to clean it up. So you're right, though. We're going to have a shootout here. We've got Hornaday and Sauter. We didn't run long enough to see how that was going to shake out on our last restart.
Why don't we try to see if Ron wants to talk to us, Phil?
Let's try it.
You do it in case he gets mad.
No, you do it.
You guys are amazing.
Hey, Ron Hornaday, it's Michael Waltrip up in the speed booth. Can you copy?
Got a couple, Mikey. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, and I just want to tell you it's so cool to see what you're doing. I know talked to you back at Nashville during the summer, and you're like, man, this ain't going good. And now you look like the champion that you are, and I know it's got to feel great.
I'm pretty fortunate. Kevin Delaney believed in me to get in this 2 truck with Bruce Cook and all these guys. It's pretty unbelievable, a champion coming aboard, and Chevrolet, ECR. It's a lot of fun, Michael. You know, it's not very often you get trucks like this. The last couple of weeks have been really awesome.
Well, I know the whole sport has loved watching you. And Ron, the darn championship is now within grasp. You're only 18 points out as you set right now. Man.
Well, maybe can't talk to Kevin into running the 2 truck the rest of the year. Maybe we can get it for the owners and the driver here. That's pretty cool. We'll just see if we can take this thing. Bruce told me the points race a little bit today, so we'll see if we got to take this Champions Filter Chevrolet to Victor Lane.
Well, we really appreciate you taking a little bit of time to talk to us. Finish her off, bro, and congratulations on all the success lately. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, thank you.
Success on 1.5 racetracks. How about 12 wins for Ron Hornaday in just 74 starts? Average finish under 10, 9.4 for him. He's second all-time in the 1.5 behind Kyle Busch.
I told you it's going to be trouble to get him out of that 2 truck. If it is a 33 truck, they better stick a 2 on the side of it.
Hey, let's see if we can talk to the guy running second right now. Hey, Johnny Sauter, Phil Parsons up in the speed booth. You got a copy? Hey, Johnny, you've really battled back now. You've talked about that thing missing or cutting out or whatever, but you had a great truck yesterday in practice, and again, another great truck here in the race. You got something for Hornaday?
I hope so. Obviously, the double file restarts always throw a wrench into the plans for everything, seems like. So just got to get a good restart here, and couldn't be happier with the Safe Auto Riviera curb record Chevy today. Joe and the boys done a lot of work, and we pretty much went back to basics with our setups and kind of starting over here to try to finish off strong the last 5 races. So if we can get some clean air here, I think we can make a run at them.
Well, Johnny, the good news is right now as you run on the racetrack, even running second, you are tied for the point lead with Austin Dillon. So finish this thing off and stay up there, huh?
All right, appreciate it.
Talk to 1 and 2 in this race.
And I tell you, Phil, I agree with Johnny. He made a strong run on Hornaday coming off turn 2 the lap that crash happened. It looked like he had maybe a better truck than Ron on that run, and just a short sprint to the finish. He could certainly make this thing interesting. We talked with all the talk all morning down in the garage was how strong the 13 was. Well, Ron hadn't let him show it yet, but looks like Johnny's in a position to let everybody know he does have a good truck.
There are 9 trucks on the lead lap right now, Phil.
Yeah, how about this truck right here, though? Not one lap on the racetrack in practice because Jason White lost control making a mock qualifying run. Pulled the backup out, qualified the truck not very well, started way back in the 23rd position, but has raced his way up into the top 5. Let's take a look at what happened to him in practice yesterday. This is final practice with not a whole lot of time left.
I talked to Jason. He said, you know, they sort of made an interesting setup. They adjusted the truck to try to make a fast qualifying run. We've talked about the fact that he just doesn't qualify well. That team wanted to try to understand what was going on, maybe put some shocks on it or made an adjustment to it. And then Jason said, I was going to go out there and put a lap down, and it just didn't stick. So you can't very well question a driver's commitment. He's going to get all he can get, and Jason tried to get a little bit more than was there.
So right now a top 5 run for Jason White, looking to maybe get a career best here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. NASCAR letting us know that the 33 of Cale Gale, he was checked and released from the infield care center, so that's good news. CenturyLink.com, your link to what's coming up next. It's NASCAR Race Day from Charlotte, so make sure to stay with us. We have just 16 laps of racing to go when they get the green.
How's this going to turn out? We've seen everything. I mean, Jason White sitting back there in the 5th spot. Maybe that's the catbird seat with those 2 guys on the front row. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but
they've had an issue or two over the past.
And plus they've got hard heads. I mean, they're gonna run these last 16 laps like there's no tomorrow. It's going to be awesome to watch.
You see the number 10 out of the race. Attrition really has been the number that has helped Austin Dillon and James Buescher stay in this title hunt, at least up toward the top, because they're running 20th and 21st, both numerous laps down.
Yeah, James, he can't make any more progress, Phil. I don't think he can pass anybody else because of the laps he's behind, but there's a couple of trucks that maybe Austin has a shot at getting to, so still some questions on the points.
16 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. Hornaday goes high. Johnny Sauter stays on the bottom of the racetrack side by side as they go into 1.
Johnny has his teammate Matt Crafton behind him to help push him down the backstretch here.
Ron needs that 17 truck of Timothy Peters to get a strong run off too and give him a push. Matt's not going to push though. Look what he's doing.
He's going to pull. He made it 3 wide on his teammate.
Goes to the inside trying to take second away. So Crafton battling for this win. Timothy Peters on the high side takes second away. Johnny Sauter drops back to 3rd. Crafton is 4th.
Matt Crafton lost all his momentum. That allowed Cole Witt now to pull up on his outside in a battle for 5th.
And Jason White, who is 5th on the restart, is getting bounced around like a ping pong ball.
Cole Witt currently drops back into that 5th spot. The Fuel Doctor number 60 just behind him. Todd Bodine in that International number 5. How about David Mayhew in the 19, currently running in the 7th spot. Nelson Piquet Jr. just behind him.
He's right now being shown 1 lap down. Nelson Piquet Jr. is.
Nelson Piquet Jr., the first truck a lap down, running in the 11th spot. Brendan Gaughan just in front of him again. Gaughan involved in the most recent incident on the racetrack, so he has a little damage to his truck.
You know, I think if we can run this thing to the end and it finishes like it does, I think Johnny Sauter is going to probably say what Matt Crafton did on that restart may have cost him a shot at this win.
But they're not going anywhere. Hornaday's not able to drive away from Peters or Sauter, and Crafton is right there as well, so it's a great battle at the front.
There's David Starr right now. David's back on the lead lap. He got Aaron's lucky dog. He's in front of Jason White. There's Parker Kligerman on the inside. Parker's being shown a lap down.
David Starr, one of the drivers who's led laps here in Las Vegas. He led 6 of the laps of this race as we have just 13 to go.
You can see Hornaday runs a little bit higher line than Timothy Peters down in turn 1 and 2. That's where Johnny Sauter was able to make a run on Ron, but Timothy's not able to do so yet.
Jason White with problems. Smoke coming out from behind that 23 truck.
What a tough break for Jason White. What a way to fight back after not practicing this truck and running up in the top 5. And looks like the engine's going to let go.
He stays out on the racetrack, down on the bottom of the track. What's going on with Cole Witt, Kristen?
Well, Cole Witt has been through a little bit of everything today. They got the jack stuck on an earlier stop. They've been tight. They've even been underpowered, but he just keeps hanging in there. And talk about taking advantage of opportunities. He came into this race 2nd in the Rookie of the Year standings.
Jason White and Jennifer Jo Cobb into the wall, bringing out our 10th caution here at Las Vegas.
Now, how the heck did that happen?
We saw Jason White's truck that was losing power but and trailing smoke behind it.
Wonder if that was a flat tire maybe on Jason's truck and he couldn't turn, and Jennifer was in the same position that
We've seen some other guys in.
We watched Cale Gale, hit a truck that he didn't know where it was going.
Justin Laughlin's truck.
Take a look at what happened. We'll follow Jason White.
Look at the right. Was that rubber from the right front tire that just came off?
Yeah, Jason would have been wise to get to pit road right there.
And how smart is that of Austin Dillon? He saw that something was going to happen, didn't want to be on the outside of that 23, so slowed up, went to the inside.
We thought it was an engine problem. It's not an engine problem. He's going to get down to the corner. It's not going to turn. Jennifer's going around the outside. That's a situation where if she would have looked ahead and maybe saw the smoke from the right front, that may have been a deal where don't go on the outside, just like Austin didn't want to do that.
So the 10th caution has come out. The record for cautions here is 12. That was back in 2008. We don't want to break that record today.
Yeah, you always know that the best thing to do is to go low because that truck's not going to turn like it was.
Right along with Brendan Gaughan, Big O Tires 62. This is what he saw.
Did Jason get into the?
That's another David Starr.
That's David Starr was smoking in front of him.
Did Jason White make some contact with the outside wall and cut that tire down?
I'm not sure. I didn't see a great deal of damage to the truck before he made contact with Jennifer Jo Cobb. There's Brendan Gaughan right there in the South Point Casino Toyota Big O tire.
What about
Nelson for this race?
Nelson Piquet Jr. got the Aaron's Lucky Dog there and pulled back onto the lead lap. And Phil, he
with
was
a fast truck.
Cole Witt for the 5th spot on the track as they ran, and now he's going to be on the lead lap.
We start with inside of 10 laps to go.
Riding along with Brendan Gaughan. And those of you joining us expecting NASCAR race day, go by the Home Depot from Shaw. That is coming up next, but you are going to be able to witness 9 great laps right here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It has been a very eventful day in the Camping World Truck Series. Points leader Austin Dillon coming in on lap number 2, gets loose in turn 4, slams into the wall. That tightens up our points battle, puts James Buescher in the catbird seat, as they would say. James Buescher also involved with an incident. He has to go to the garage to fix his truck, so that brings in Hornaday and Timothy Peters into the title battle, and now our points battle in the Camping World Truck Series separated by just 22 points between 5 positions. And as they're running on the track, Austin Dillon has a 2-point lead over the 13 of Johnny Sauter.
And if you're just tuning in, darn what you've missed. We've had the most eventful race ever. We should have known from lap 2 when the point leader spins around that it was going to be a crazy day, and it's certainly been just that. The theme of the day, the 2 fastest trucks have been Ron Hornaday Jr. and Johnny Sauter. Timothy Peters made a great restart there. He got himself in the 2nd spot, and he was gaining on our leader. So you got 3 solid guys at the front who can win this baby, and Matt Crafton as well.
How about the points as they run right now? It was 42 points back to 5th coming in. Now only 22 points back, and Ron Hornaday on a roll right now, only 19 points back if he can pull this thing off.
Trying to keep the momentum alive in that truck, because the last race in Kentucky, he was able to go to victory lane for the 50th time, a huge milestone in the Camping World Truck Series, a series that's only been around for 16 years, and he's already reached the 50-win mark.
And I think Kyle Busch may be 2nd on the list now with about 30 wins for him. So a 20-win cushion for Ron Hornaday, and he's trying to make it maybe 21.
Looking for his 51st win, Timothy Peters in the 17. Here's another racetrack where he hasn't been able to win, just like Ron Hornaday. Hornaday has never won at Las Vegas. He has over 10 starts at this racetrack, and this is the only track where he has over 10 starts at a track and hasn't been to victory lane.
Hey, is Johnny Sauter going to maybe try to make the same move that Matt Crafton made when those guys are side by side off of 2?
Definitely. He will do the same thing if he gets that kind of a run on Timothy Peters, but I wouldn't. We're in Vegas, odds are everything. I wouldn't put odds on any one of those first 4 trucks finishing this race. Who knows?
Timothy Peters on the inside, Hornaday on the outside. Green flag back in the air. 8 laps of racing to go, and getting sideways, Timothy Peters. He had help from the 13 of Johnny Sauter. Here comes Crafton into 2nd, and they're 3 wide for 3rd behind him.
How about Todd Bodine, who's had his own trouble in this race now? 3 wide for 2nd.
Timothy Peters on the bottom of the racetrack. Johnny Sauter right in the middle. Here comes Todd Bodine on the high side. Those 3 trucks racing for 3rd.
Look at Brendan Gaughan up there. Brendan makes a little contact with Johnny Sauter.
Brendan Gaughan in the Big O Tire 62 drops back to the 6th spot now. As they settle it for 3rd, at least one drops out of that run. It's still Todd Bodine and Timothy Peters side by side for the 3rd position. Behind them, they're racing side by side for spots.
Oh, Blake Feast gets turned.
Feast sideways in the 32, trying to stay off the wall. Cool Witt in that Fuel Doctor 60 avoids. Blake Feast stops on the inside wall. Still no caution has come out.
If he gets moving, then we'll not throw the caution flag.
Oh, I bet it comes out.
Blake Feast still hasn't got
just refired it. He just refired it down there.
The 2 of Ron Hornaday crosses the start-finish line. 6 laps of racing to go.
Look at this battle for 3rd. Timothy Peters on the inside. Todd Bodine, Johnny Sauter on the outside.
Hornaday, Crafton separated by 0.2 of a second. Back behind him, Timothy Peters running in the 3rd spot. Todd Bodine in 4th, Johnny Sauter in 5th.
And that was Blake Feast creeping down the backstretch. He did get it refired. He may not be under power anymore, though.
Ron Hornaday started from the lead on this restart. Matt Crafton was all the way back and forth, and now Crafton's right on Hornaday's tailgate.
5 laps of racing to go. Here comes Crafton. He's got to run. Closes the gap. Once again, it's just 0.2 of a second.
Look at Todd Bodine. He likes that high line. He's trying to get a run on the outside on Peters. Johnny Sauter stuck to the bottom. Same thing for our 2 leaders. Ron's running a little bit higher, and Crafton right down on the bottom.
4.5 laps to go right now. Look at Crafton's making some moves on the bottom.
Matt Crafton trying to close the gap between he and the 2 of Hornaday. Timothy Peters back 0.8 of a second from race leader Ron Hornaday. Then behind Peters, Todd Bodine, Johnny Sauter battling for that 4th spot. Top 5 have separated themselves from the field.
Johnny's trying to get to the inside of Todd Bodine. Todd's keeping that momentum up on the high side. Johnny pulls on even with him now as they enter 3.
Johnny Sauter trying to take that 4th spot away from Todd Bodine. Sauter, yesterday, the best truck in practice. Hornaday wins the pole. And now trying to win the race. Just 3 laps of racing to go.
Johnny Sauter was behind Timothy Peters. It looked like Timothy got out in front of Ron a little bit on that restart, had to slow down, and Ron took advantage of that. Jumped, got a good start. It hurt Peters and it hurt Johnny Sauter as well.
Great restart for Matt Crafton. He was on it. He was able to grab that 2nd spot from 4th.
So Hornaday working his way through 3 and 4, where most of the action has taken place already today. Just 2 more times around Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 3 miles remain in this race. Ron Hornaday continuing with the momentum that he had in Kentucky, grabbing his 50th career win.
Got a slow truck down on the inside of the back, Phil.
Yeah, clean racetrack, though, if that truck stays down on the bottom.
Hornaday and Crafton, 1 and 2, separated by 1/2 a second. Hornaday's going to see the white flag one more time around for win number 51.
White flag right here.
And will he go 2 for 2 in this 2 truck?
It will be a huge day for Ron Hornaday if he's able to stay out front. He'll be able to notch another racetrack as far as getting a win at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, a place he has never gone to victory lane. The final 2 turns coming out of turn number 4. Ron Hornaday is on a roll. Win number 51.
Thank you so much. Let me drive this thing. This is cool.
That's heartfelt right there too, Phil, isn't it?
He said, this is cool.
You know what that's like to get in something that goes like that. Awesome.
An amazing run once again for Ron Hornaday. Crafton finishes 2nd. Peters, Sauter, and Bodine, your top 5. We're going to hear from Ron Hornaday. Stay with NASCAR Race Day coming up next, and then Speed Center later on this evening for in-depth coverage of post-race action from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Thanks for joining us here on Speed. Now it's NASCAR Race Day.